Chapter 164. I sat on the edge of the rose pond and was in a daze when someone walked out of the house. The person walked over to me. When he got closer, I saw that it was Han Hao. Han Hao looked at me with a serious expression. It seemed that he wasn't comfortable being in the house with Duanmu, Quebec. He walked over to me and said, "Why isn't Suri with you?" I looked at him and said, "Suri went back first. I wanted to stay for a while, so I stayed." Han Hao sat down next to me. He lowered his head and said softly, "Xiao Li, I suddenly feel that I'm not good enough for you. I'm starting to feel that I can't give you the life you need. Tell me, what should I do?" I turned to look at Han Hao. "Why are you suddenly saying that?" Han Hao raised his head and looked at me. "Xiao Li, you still love Xiao Ke, don't you?" My eyes flickered. I didn't know how to tell him, how to explain it to him. Han Hao's eyes were filled with tears. It was the first time I had seen him so helpless. Han Hao hugged me and patted my back. "Xiao Li, don't worry. I won't give up. I believe that I have the ability to make you my woman. I definitely will. I will definitely make you fall in love with me." "Han Hao, you're wrong. Xiao Li is mine. No matter in the future or now, Cold Glaze only loves me." A voice came from behind a tree in the park. Then a figure walked out. It was Duanmu, Quebec. He stood in front of us and looked at us with a serious expression. Han Hao and I stood up. The three of us just stood there like that. Duanmu Ke and Han Hao's eyes looked especially serious. Black lines appeared on my face. I sighed. I reckoned that the battle for favor between the two of them would start again in a while. Duanmu Ke looked at me and said, "It's windy outside. Why are you still standing here? Hurry up and go inside." Before I could speak, Han Hao reached out and hugged me. He looked at Duanmu Ke as if he was showing off. He said softly, "Don't worry. She has me. She won't feel cold." Han Hao didn't let go. He hugged me tightly. I looked at Duanmu Quebec. His gaze was even sharper. Duanmu Ke smiled coldly. He looked at Han Hao and said, "With you here, she will feel even colder. You should let her go." Duanmu Ke pointed at Han Hao. It looked like he was warning Han Hao. Han Hao looked at Duanmu Ke and smiled coldly. Then he suddenly reached out and pulled my face. In front of Duanmu Ke, he kissed me hard on the cheek. I was stunned. Not only was I stunned, but so was Duanmu Quebec. After Han Hao kissed me, he turned to look at Duanmu Quebec. My face was covered with black lines. I didn't know what to do. Duanmu Ke looked at me and then at Han Hao. He walked in front of us. Their eyes met, and the atmosphere became very tense. Duanmu Ke reached out and grabbed my arm. He pulled hard and pulled me into his arms. He hugged me tightly and looked at Han Hao as if he was threatening him. I was a little flustered. I was very angry. I struggled with all my might to shake off Duanmu Ke's hand. I stood at the side and looked at the two of them. "You two can fight, but don't drag me into it. I don't want to be involved in your fight. Xiao Li is right. This is a matter between the two of us. Don't drag anyone else into it." Han Hao looked at Duanmu Quebec. It looked like he was determined to fight Duanmu Ke to the end. Duanmu Ke looked at me and then at Han Hao. "Didn't you say you wanted a fair competition? You were the one who put Xiao Li in the middle first. Everything I did was for Xiao Li's sake. I never wanted to make her sad. I also hope that I can use my actions to show that I really like her and that I really want to be with her." Han Hao looked at Duanmu Quebec. "Are you touching your conscience when you say that? Haven't you hurt her enough times? Yes, you might want to be with her now, but what about the past? Have you forgotten what you did to her in the past? That time, you made her fall down the stairs. Do you know that you almost—" Han Hao. As soon as I heard Han Hao's words, I interrupted him. "Don't talk about it. It's all in the past." I looked at Han Hao, hoping that he would be rational and understand why I interrupted him. Han Hao looked at me, and then at Duanmu Quebec. "Xiao Ke, I know that my personal conditions can't compare to yours. I don't have a good family background like yours, I don't have a noble status like yours, I don't have money like yours, and I definitely don't have power like yours. But I think that when it comes to feelings, everyone is equal. You like Xiaoli, and I like Xiaoli. You can use your own methods to please the people around Xiaoli, and I can do the same. Isn't this all equal? Duanmuke sneered. He looked at Han Hao and said, I didn't say that I was against fair competition. You don't have to rely on your good relationship with Xiao Li to get close to her heart to do whatever you want of her. I'm very angry that you tried to touch her in front of me, but I don't think you can beat me if we really fight. Listening to Duanmuke's words, it seemed that he was going to fight Han Hao here today. I felt that something was wrong, so I quickly stopped him. Stop. The two of you are enough. Do you still think you're a child? How old are you? You're already adults, yet you still want to fight. Don't you feel ashamed? Duanmuke glanced at me, then looked at Han Hao and said, That's right, we can't fight here. Let's go back to that little park. I won't give in to you on this matter. Duanmuke's stubbornness gave me a headache. I glared at Duanmuke and said, Enough. Haven't you caused enough trouble? Xiao Ke, did you forget what you said to me last night? Weren't you very grateful to Han Hao for staying by your side all these years and doing so many dangerous things for you? Why are you turning against your brother because of a woman? I turned my head and looked at Han Hao. You too. Don't you know what kind of body I'm in right now? You still want to piss me off with Xiao, Quebec. You two are in cahoots, aren't you? You did it on purpose. Seeing me lose my temper, Han Hao and Duanmuke both froze. They looked at each other, and then, as if they understood something, they walked to my side. Like two children who had made a mistake, they lowered their heads and didn't dare to look at me. Han Hao was the first to speak. Xiaoli, I was wrong. I was too stubborn and didn't consider your feelings. Chapter 165. When Duanmuke heard Han Hao's words, he changed his attitude. He looked at me and said, I was wrong, Xiaoli. I didn't consider your feelings. I won't do it again. Looking at the two of them, I let out a long sigh. In a soft voice, I said, It's getting late. You two should go home. If you don't have anything to do, don't come to my house for the next 2 days. Also, Xiao Ke, the gift you gave my father is too valuable. I can't accept it. When I have time, I will convince my father to give it back to you. Xiao Hao, thank you for giving my mother such a beautiful violet bracelet. I heard that it's a treasure that your family keeps in the bank. It should be priceless. Duanmuke and Han Hao wanted to interject, but I gestured for them to stop. The two of them stood in front of me, looking at me with a puzzled expression. Seeing that the two of them had quieted down, I continued, I understand what you two mean, and I also understand that you two are doing this to please my family. I also understand that you two really like me. But right now, I really don't have any plans to find a partner. I still have more things to do, so for the next period of time, I won't put my personal feelings as the most important thing. Duanmuke looked at me and said, I understand what you mean, but you can't not get married for the rest of your life. You can't reject other people's pursuit of you for the rest of your life. That's not realistic at all. I know that Xiao Hao and I acted a little too hastily, but you can't stop our feelings for you. You can't stop us from pursuing you. Han Hao looked at me and nodded. Xiaoli, I understand what you mean. I also understand how you feel. I was too hasty in this matter. I'm afraid. Han Hao stopped talking. I knew what he wanted to say. He was afraid that he would lose me. He was afraid that Duanmuke would steal me away. I looked at the two of them and smiled. All right, let's go back. It's getting late. I should go back and rest. If there's anything else, we can talk about it later. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Then, I turned and left the garden. I walked towards the living room. The roses in the garden were blown by the wind, as if questioning me. Questioning why I didn't make a choice, why I didn't follow my heart and pursue my own happiness. I didn't know if the two of them had left or not, and I didn't want to know. I walked into the living room. My parents had already returned to their rooms. Only Suri and Xinyao were playing with Susu. When they saw me return, they greeted me. Xinyao walked to my side. She pulled my arm and said, "Sister-in-law, I just saw my brother and Han Hao go out. Did they go to find you? What did you say? They didn't quarrel?" I shook my head and looked at Xin Yao and said, "That's not it. It's just that the two of them are too passionate. I can't stand it." "Oh right, it's already so late. Why haven't you come home yet?" "It's too late. It's not safe." I turned and looked at Suri. "Suri, take Xin Yao home later. Otherwise, I won't feel at ease." Xin Yao pursed her lips and looked at me. "I'm not going home. I just called my mother and told her that I'm going to stay at sister-in-law's house tonight. She agreed, so I'm going to stay here tonight." Looking at Xin Yao's cute appearance, I shook my head helplessly. All right. I don't know what to do with you. The nanny has already prepared Susu and Suri's rooms. I don't think your room has been prepared yet. How about you share a room with me tonight? We don't dislike each other, and the bed is big enough. I'll go prepare a blanket for you later." Okay. It's decided then. Wow, this is the first time I've felt so excited about not staying at home. I'm so happy. Xin Yao happily swung my arm and smiled. Suri stood to the side and looked at us, his expression serious. He walked over to us and reached out to pick up Xin Yao. Looking at Xin Yao, he said, "Milady is pregnant now. If you don't know your limits, I won't feel at ease with you living with Milady. You should be good and stay with me. If you really affect Milady's baby and your brother finds out, he'll tear you apart." Hearing Suri's words, Xin Yao immediately became obedient. She leaned into Suri's arms and nodded thoughtfully. "That makes sense. I shouldn't disturb sister-in-law's rest. What she needs the most right now is to rest." Xin Yao looked at Suri and said, "Okay. Since you're so obedient, I'll reluctantly squeeze in with you tonight." Suri put Xin Yao down and lovingly stroked Xin Yao's hair. Seeing the two of them so loving, I suddenly felt envious. I sat on the sofa and looked at the two of them. "Milady Duanmu, isn't this decision a bit too natural? Don't tell me the two of you have already, huh? I guessed right, didn't I?" Xin Yao's face immediately turned red. She hid in Suri's arms and secretly glanced at me with one eye. Suri's face also revealed an awkward expression. He looked at me and said, "Milady, you guessed wrong. Xin Yao and I haven't done anything, but you know." Suri helplessly covered his face with his hand. I could faintly see him secretly laughing. I couldn't help but laugh. "Haha, it's okay. We're all adults, so I understand. Do you need me to prepare some necessities for you?" I laughed so hard that I was out of breath. I didn't care about my image anymore. Looking at their bashful appearance, I suddenly felt that it was very interesting. Hearing my words, Xin Yao's face turned even redder. She tightly clenched her fists and secretly glanced at me. "Sister-in-law, you're so naughty. I haven't thought about what would happen. I don't have any experience. I'm so shy. Let's change the subject, okay?" Suri also followed suit. That's right. Milady, I've been led astray by you. I really don't want anything to happen between us. I just want her to have a place to sleep. Tidying up a room is too troublesome. It's better to squeeze in with me for the night. I walked over to Suri's side and gently patted his shoulder. "It's okay, I understand. If you need anything, just come find me. I promise I'll prepare everything for you. Good luck. You must get Xin Yao." I looked at Suri. Although I wanted to control myself and not laugh out loud, I still couldn't help it. I laughed evilly. Xin Yao shyly covered her face and sat on the sofa. Her face was red, which was very beautiful. Indeed, we were all adults. It was normal for a man and a woman to have sex. I was the happiest when Suri and Xin Yao were together. Chapter 166. The next morning, when I woke up, I hadn't gotten used to the fact that I was back in my own house. The helpless feeling in my heart was hard to bear. I washed up and went downstairs. Strangely, the entire living room was empty. There wasn't a single person in sight. At this time, the nanny walked past me. I grabbed her hand and looked at her. "Auntie, am I the only one left in the house? I didn't get up very late. How come everyone's gone? The nanny looked at me and said, Young miss, master, and madam left for the company early in the morning. They said they had an urgent meeting. Did they say something about the meeting? I suddenly felt a bit nervous. Did something happen at the company? The nanny shook her head. No, they didn't. It seems like they need to work on a project in the United States. They were discussing who to send to take charge of the project. I nodded thoughtfully. Then I remembered Suri and Xinyao. Right, did you see Suri and Xinyao? I asked. The nanny thought for a moment and looked at me. I didn't see Suri and young Miss Duanmu. However, Susu left with Master and Madam's car early in the morning. I saw her carrying a small backpack. Master and Madam must have sent her to school on the way. I nodded and thought to myself, did the two of them have sex all night? I looked at the nanny and said, Okay, I got it. You should prepare breakfast and put it on the table. Then you can go and do other things. I'm going to wake them up for breakfast. Then I walked toward Suri's room. On the way there, I felt very conflicted. I wondered if I should wake the two of them up. If I didn't, I would ask Suri to accompany me to the company. However, if I woke them up, I was afraid that they would feel awkward if they saw me. Before I knew it, I had already reached Suri's room. After hesitating for a long time, I decided to knock on the door. After all, everyone was an adult, so there shouldn't be any problems. Just as I raised my hand to knock, the door to Suri's room opened. I saw Xinyao standing at the door, rubbing her eyes with a sleepy expression. Suri stood behind her, hugging her and rubbing his eyes with a sleepy expression. They looked at me. They weren't very awake at first, but they suddenly became alert. Xinyao's face turned red. She looked at me and said, Ah, sister-in-law, why are you here? Did you come to wake us up? I rolled my eyes at her and looked at them. Hurry up and wash up so we can eat breakfast. Suri, take Xinyao back to Duanmu's house first, then take me to the company. I have something to do. Hearing me say that, Suri immediately became alert. He looked at me and nodded. After the two of them finished washing up, they were completely awake. The three of us ate breakfast in the dining room. Suri asked me while eating, Young miss, why are you in such a hurry to go to the company? Did something happen? I shook my head and looked at him. Not really. The company might want to start a new project in the U.S. branch, and they need someone to supervise it. I just happen to want to go to the U.S. to wait for delivery, so I wanted to ask my parents to give me this job. No. As soon as I said that, Suri and Xinyao both rejected me at the same time. My face darkened as I looked at them. What's the matter? Why did you reject me so quickly? Xinyao put down her chopsticks and looked at me. Sister-in-law, you're pregnant. Why do you still want to work? What if you hurt the baby? No, I definitely won't agree. I sighed and was about to refute her when Suri said, Young miss, I have to stand on Xinyao's side. I think what she said is very reasonable. If you weren't pregnant, you could do whatever you wanted, and we could go crazy with you. But it's different now. In fact, you care about this child a lot. We all know this, so don't worry. We definitely won't agree to let you go. What are you two doing? I'm only going to the U.S. to take care of this job. I'm not going to do it myself. Besides, Uncle Jiang and Jiangqing are there. They'll take care of me and share my burden. Don't worry, I'll take good care of me and the baby. Suri and Xinyao looked at each other, and then at me. Then Suri said, Okay, I can take you to the company. As for whether it works or not, that's not up to me. Also, I can take you, but you have to promise me that I'll be by your side when you go to the U.S. Otherwise, I won't take you. Xinyao nodded vigorously. I looked at the two of them and sighed. Okay, I promise you. I'm speechless. It seems the two of you really had enough fun last night. Early in the morning, the two of you tormented me together. Little Xinyao, I'm not going to be friends with you anymore. Hearing me say that, Xinyao and Suri's faces became very red. It seems I was being too harsh. Forget it, forget it. I don't want to argue with them. After all, I still love them very much. After breakfast, Suri took me and Xinyao to leave the house. The two of us first sent Xinyao back to Duanmu's house. Then, Suri took me to the Red Minghui's hall. Every time I came here, I would feel very depressed. After all, the Red Minghui was very famous in a city. Even the air was filled with seriousness. I stood at the entrance and calmed myself down. Then, I stepped through the Red Minghui's main entrance. It had been a long time since I came here. The main entrance of the Red Minghui was a retro Chinese-style structure. The bright red color was very eye-catching in this concrete city. In the past, there were rumors that the door paint of the Red Minghui's main entrance was mixed with human blood. After entering the Red Minghui's main entrance, there were 4 corridors leading in different directions. At the end of each corridor, there were 2 corridors leading in different directions. I walked towards the first corridor, because at the end of the corridor was the Red Minghui's office building. My father and mother were currently having a meeting inside. As soon as I entered the building, I saw my father's secretary, Secretary Li, standing in the lobby. When she saw me, she immediately walked towards me. She smiled and said, "Young lady, you've come. Please go upstairs first. The chairman and his wife are having a meeting inside." I turned to look at Su Rue and whispered, "You did a good job. If you didn't call, wouldn't I have been stopped by the guards?" Suri looked at me and straightened his collar. He looked at me with a proud face. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at him. I turned to Secretary Li and said, "Yes, I know they're having a meeting. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to come here. They should be talking about the American project. Take me there. I have something to say at the meeting." Chapter 167. Secretary Li looked at me. Clearly, she was in a difficult position. "Young miss," she said, "this isn't very appropriate. This is a board meeting, and the president has specifically instructed that no one is to disturb this meeting. I'm afraid it's not appropriate for me to take you in now." I glanced at Secretary Li and smiled at her. Then I walked past her. "Young miss." She called after me, but I didn't turn around to acknowledge her. At this time, Su Rue pulled her back and looked at her. "Your mission is done. Eldest miss will tell the president that you've already stopped her. She won't make things difficult for you. You can go do other things. If there's anything, eldest miss will take care of it for you." Su Rue smiled and looked at her. He patted her shoulder and caught up with me. Suri and I entered the elevator. I turned to look at Suri and smiled. "You have a knack for betraying your teammates. I really don't know what to do with you." Suri looked at me. "Then what can I do? You didn't even look back. She wanted to stop you, so I had to stop her. She was afraid that the president would scold her. I could only say that you took care of everything for her. You can't expect me to take care of everything. It's useless even if I did. You're better than me, better than both of us." I smiled and looked at Suri. I reached out and pinched his armpit. He grimaced in pain and looked at me with an aggrieved expression. "Young miss, why did you hit me so hard?" he asked. "Hard? I don't think I hit you that hard." "I know. You're trying to blackmail me. You're so bad. Xinyao didn't teach you anything good. She actually taught you how to deal with me." I glared at him. Su Rue looked like he was about to cry as he said to me, "Of course not. Xinyao has been telling me how good you are to her, but she didn't tell me anything else. Besides, I don't dare. I realize that I'm really scared that you'll beat me up. You'll hit me too hard. You don't even consider my feelings." Suri's expression was still pained, but he started to act cute in front of me. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at him. I looked at Su Rue and said, "It seems you're in a good mood today. Last night was pretty good. How about it? Did you do it all night? No, if you did it all night, you probably wouldn't be able to get up. You have to take care of your body and protect me. How about this? After the meeting, I'll go buy you some tonics to nourish your body." After saying that, I laughed. Suri blushed and stood there looking at me. His hesitant expression was even more hilarious. I laughed even harder. Suri blushed and said to me, "Young mistress, you have to promise me that you will keep this a secret for us. I don't want more people to know." I looked at him and nodded. I can promise you, but why do you have to keep it a secret? Aren't the two of you in love? This is a very normal thing. Everyone is an adult and can understand. The parents are not the kind of people who are particularly conservative. Suri sighed and said, Actually, I only found out last night that it was Xinyao's first time. Since she gave me her first time, I want to protect her. I'm afraid that if this matter spreads to the media, it won't be good for her or the Kurosawa. So, you have to keep it a secret for me. I was surprised to hear Suri say that. I knew that there were many men chasing after Xinyao. It seemed that she was a good girl who kept her chastity. I looked at Suri and said, Then you have to be responsible for Xinyao. You can't bully her. She's given herself to you. You have to treat her well for the rest of her life. If I find out that you bully her, I won't let you off. How could I? I'm very loyal. She's also very good to me. She said that she loves me as a person and nothing else. Actually, she and I are like heaven and earth. I'm very lucky to have such a beautiful swan like her. Okay, what are you going to do about her parents? Shouldn't you take some time to visit her parents? I looked at Suri. I told him this because I hoped that I could finish this matter for him while I was still in China. I estimated that it would be a few years before I returned to China. Suri thought for a moment and said, I've thought about it, but I don't know how to do it. Do I have to prepare a greeting gift? I'm lacking in this aspect. I looked at Suri and said, How about this? While I'm still in China, you pick a date. As for the greeting gift, I'll ask my mother to prepare it. You don't have to worry about it. You just have to think about what to say when you meet Xinyao's parents. Parents want their daughter to marry a good man who loves and cares about her. You just have to promise them that you'll treat Xinyao, well, wholeheartedly, and won't let her suffer. You just have to show your determination. I think Xinyao's father really likes you. Don't worry, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Okay, I understand. I've unknowingly caused you more trouble. Suri looked at me and scratched his head. I looked at him and smiled. You just have to follow me for the rest of your life. Don't even think about changing jobs or becoming someone else's bodyguard. Not even Xinyao can do it. You can only follow me. Suri looked at me in surprise. Then he nodded and said, Of course. Suri and I chatted in the elevator for a while before we arrived. When we walked out of the elevator, we saw a young woman standing at the entrance. Judging from her clothes, she had a red Minghui badge on her chest. She should be an employee of the red Minghui. When she saw Suri and I walk out, she immediately came to greet us. She looked at me and said softly, Excuse me, are you Miss? Secretary, Lee asked me to come and greet you. At first glance, I could tell she was a new employee. It was probably her first time seeing me. She was trembling all over. I patted her on the shoulder and said, Don't worry. I patted her shoulder and said, It's okay, you go do your work. I'll go by myself. Also, you don't have to be so scared when you see me. Go, do your work. I smiled at her and walked towards the meeting room. Su Rue followed closely behind me. When we arrived at the conference room door, the blinds were closed. Obviously, this was a very private meeting. I turned to look at Suri and said softly, Suri, wait for me in the lounge outside. I'll go in alone. Suri nodded and looked at me. Okay, don't get too worked up. If there's anything you want to talk about, we can talk about it. Then Suri left. Looking at Suri's departing figure, I calmed my mind and turned to knock on the conference room door. Then I pushed the door open and walked in. Chapter 168. When I entered the conference room, I saw that except for my parents, all the senior members of the Red Minghui were sitting in the room. I pushed the door open and entered. Everyone in the room looked at me. My father looked at me and said, Li Er, why are you here? We're having a board meeting. You can go out and wait for us. I looked at my father and went straight to an empty seat. I sat down. Everyone looked at me and said softly, Dad, I'm also here for the meeting. I know you're discussing who will be in charge of the new project in the United States. My father and mother looked at each other. Then they looked at me and said, Lee Air, what do you think? I looked around at everyone in the room. Then I looked at my father and said, Dad, let me do this. No. As soon as I said that, my mother blurted out. She was the first to object to me going. My father looked at me and nodded. I agree with your mother. You're not fit to take on such a stressful job right now. Don't even think about it. I won't let you do it. I looked at my father and smiled. Dad, Mom, can you listen to my point of view first? Uncles here can also listen to my point of view. I have very good reasons to prove that I am the most suitable person to be in charge of this project. At this time, Uncle Bai looked at my father and said, Old Long, let Lee Air talk. My father looked at me and nodded. I sat there and said, there are a few reasons. First, I am the head of the American branch. I should be responsible for everything in the United States. Although I have returned to China, I have plans to go abroad in the near future. Second, I have a wide circle of contacts in the United States. It is relatively convenient for me to deal with things. Third, I know the relevant legal system in the United States so that our project can be carried out smoothly in the United States. Fourth, I have a group of very outstanding employees, such as Uncle Jiang, Jiang Qing, and so on. They are all old employees who have been loyal to the Red Minghui for a long time. Finally, because of my personal feelings, I want to go abroad for some time. Just these few reasons alone prove that I am the most suitable candidate. After listening to me, there were already people discussing it in private. My mother and father also started talking. After a while, my father looked at me and said, Lee Air, it's not that your mother and I don't want you to go, but with your current physical condition, if you go there, you won't be able to withstand that much work pressure. I looked at my father and said, Dad, please promise me. The father and mother looked at each other. Then the father looked at everyone and said, Well, let's call it a day. When I've made a decision, I'll call for another meeting. Everyone stood up and walked towards the door. At this time, my father looked at Uncle Bai and said, Old Bai, you stay here. Uncle Bai sat down again. When most of the others had left, my father looked at me and said, Lee Air, why do you have to go? Don't you know you're pregnant? Let's not talk about the fact that there will be no one to take care of you in the United States. What if the work pressure affects the baby's development? What if your body gets injured? My mother nodded and said, Lee Air, it's not that we don't want you to go, but we want you to take care of your body. Don't think about the matters of the Red Minghui. Leave them to us. The most important thing for you to do now is to take care of your body and give birth to the baby healthily. I looked at my parents and said, Dad, Mom, I don't want to hide it from you. I want to give birth to the baby in the United States. If I stay in China for a long time, I won't be able to hide the fact that I'm pregnant. I don't plan on returning the baby to the Duanmu family. So, Dad, take this opportunity to let me go to the United States. If you're really worried that I'll be too tired, can you arrange for someone to accompany me and a woman to take care of me? What about Suri? If you're going, won't Suri go with you? My mother asked me. I sighed and said, Mom, Suri is going to the Duanmu family to confess his feelings to Xinyao's parents. He wants to mention to Xinyao's parents that he and Xinyao are together. I think this is a good thing. If the two of them really get together and Xinyao's parents agree, they may prepare for marriage. If he goes to the United States with me, it will take at least 2 or 3 years for him to come back. That will delay the two of them. So, Dad, please send someone to accompany me. At this time, my father looked at Uncle Bai and asked, Old Bai, what do you think about this matter? Uncle Bai thought for a moment and said, Old Long, I still agree with Lee Air's idea. Lee Air is right. As long as someone is by her side to take care of her, there shouldn't be any problems. As for the project, old Jiang and his son are there, so there shouldn't be any problems. We just need to keep an eye on them, and there shouldn't be any problems. My father thought for a moment and then dialed number. He said softly, Call the Red Baron in. My father hung up the phone. My mother nodded and said, Yes, it's good to let the Red Baron go. While I was thinking about who the Red Baron was, the door of the meeting room was pushed open. A girl walked in. She looked delicate and pretty, but her expression was very serious. She was thin and small, and she was wearing a red dress. She walked into the meeting room and looked at my father. "Chairman, you called for me?" My father raised his head and looked at her. "Red Baron, this is young Mississippi." The Red Baron looked at me and nodded. My father continued, "In a few days, our company will start a new project in America. Young Miss, as the person in charge, will go to America. Because young Miss is pregnant, there may be many inconveniences for her. The company hopes to arrange for you to accompany young Miss and accompany her to America." The Red Baron didn't even think about it. She looked at me and said, "Okay, I understand." My father sighed and looked at me. "Air, you and the Red Baron can go out first. Old Bye and I have some other things to discuss." I nodded and walked out of the meeting room. The Red Baron followed behind me. Her face was expressionless as usual. It seemed that she was also an iceberg girl. I suddenly remembered that Suri was still waiting for me in the lounge. I walked over. Suri was sitting there flipping through a magazine. When he saw me, he quickly stood up and looked at me. "Young Miss, you're back. How was it? Did the discussion go well?" I nodded and looked at him. "All right. This is the Red Baron. My father arranged for me to go to America with him. This is Suri, my personal bodyguard." Suri nodded and looked at the Red Baron. "So you are the Red Baron." Chapter 169. I looked at Suri and asked, "Why? Do you know her?" Suri nodded and looked at me. "Yeah, I know her. She's a member of the Red Minghue's hired thugs, who are directly under the president's control." "Then why don't I know about this? Logically speaking, I should know everything about the Red Minghui." The Red Baron looked at me and said, "Miss, it's not strange that you don't know about it. After all, this organization hasn't been established for long, and it's rather secretive because the president doesn't want too many people to know about it. There are still many things he needs the president to do. Of course, what Suri just said isn't completely correct. We're not just a hired thug organization. We can do quite a lot of things. Also, the president sent me and Miss to America not only to protect her, but also to take care of her. Miss is pregnant and needs a woman to take care of her. That's the president's true intention." When Suri heard the Red Baron's words, he looked at me and said, "Miss, you're really going to America. Did the president agree?" I nodded and looked at Su Rue and said, "Yes, I already told my father. This time, I won't let you accompany me. You don't need to ask me why. It's rare that you're preparing to propose marriage to Xinyao's family. This matter is much more important than going abroad with me. You have to complete this matter and then tell me when you get married. If my physical condition allows, I will definitely rush back. You have to remember what you promised me. Do you understand?" Suri sighed. "All right, I understand. Let's go home. Red Baron, are you coming with us?" The Red Baron looked at me and said, "I'll go home and pack up first. Then I'll go to Mrs. House myself." Suri thought for a moment and said to the Red Baron, "How about this? I'll send Miss home first. Then, if you need me to pick you up, give me a call. The administrative department has my contact information." The Red Baron nodded. "All right, I understand. Thank you." Then, the Red Baron turned and left. Watching the Red Baron leave, Suri looked at me and asked, "Miss, do you think she's reliable?" I shook my head and looked at Suri. "I haven't seen through her yet. She's an unpredictable woman. I don't know what kind of person she is. Let's take our time to think about it." I softly asked, "By the way, Suri, do you know the Red Baron's real name?" Suri thought for a moment and said, "Let's go. Let's go home first. Someone will give me a call in 10 minutes. I looked at Suri suspiciously. Suri smiled at me and pulled me to the elevator. Suri and I left the club, got into the car, and started to head home. As expected, about 10 minutes later, Suri's phone rang. He answered the call while driving. I couldn't hear what he was saying to the person on the other end of the line, but he kept saying, MM. It seemed that the person on the other end of the line was explaining something to him. After 2 minutes, Suri said, "All right, I understand." Then he hung up. I looked at Suri and asked, "How was it? Did you find out more about her?" Suri nodded and said, "I did. Her real name is Linyu. Red Baron is her code name in the thug organization. The code names are ranged according to a rainbow. She's number 1, so she should be the best in the organization. She was an orphan when she was young. 20 years ago, your father sponsored an orphanage. He selected a group of outstanding children from the orphanage and trained them systematically. That's how the thug organization is now. This is considered the Red Minghue's top secret." I thought for a moment and looked at Suri. "How did you find out? How did you find out about such a secret? Did you steal our organization's confidential files? Heavens, if my father finds out, he'll skin you alive." Su Rue turned his head and looked at me with a dark expression. He said to me extremely calmly, "Idiot. Am I that stupid?" Her situation was told to me by Qingju, who was in the same thug organization as her. As for how the thug organization was established, I only heard about it by chance. I can only tell you this. Who else can I tell? I can't even tell Xinyao. After all, she's a Kurosawa citizen. I'm not stupid. Do you think I'm you? Listening to Suri's words, I nodded thoughtfully. It seemed to make sense, but I also felt that something was wrong. I thought for a while and finally understood. This guy was calling me stupid. I glared at Suri and said loudly, "You're the stupid one. You're the stupidest." Listening to me, Suri laughed and said, "You're so stupid. It took you so long to realize. They say that pregnant women become stupid for 3 years. I didn't believe it. I didn't expect to see it today. It's too accurate. You become stupid too, quickly." I glared at him again and said, "I won't joke with you. Seriously, have you thought about when you're going to meet Xinyao's parents?" "Yeah, I talked to Xinyao on the phone. I said I'll go the day after tomorrow. I suddenly feel very nervous. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid that her parents won't agree." Suri was still worried. I looked at Suri and said, "Okay, you don't have to worry. Didn't we already set the date? I'll go with you on that day. I'll ask my mother about the gift in the afternoon. It should be ready in a day. You don't have to worry, it will definitely happen." Suri sighed and said, "I'll take advantage of your auspicious words. I really hope it will happen. She gave her first time to me. I have to be responsible for her. I promised to take care of her for the rest of her life. I definitely won't go back on my word." I nodded and didn't say anything. When we finally got home, I felt a bit tired and went upstairs to rest. Suri probably went to arrange the Red Baron's matter. I felt reassured leaving it to Suri. I decided to sleep first and wait for my parents to come back before talking to them. As I lay on the bed, I suddenly thought of Duanmuke and Han Hao. It seemed that they were quite peaceful. I didn't know what they were doing right now. Unconsciously, I felt sleepy and gradually fell asleep. This sleep was very deep. I didn't know how long I slept, but when I woke up, it was already afternoon. I tidied up a bit and walked out of the bedroom. I happened to see my parents sitting in the living room, chatting and laughing. I didn't know what they were talking about. I went downstairs and looked at my parents. "Dad, Mom, you're back. I have something I want to talk to you about. Is that okay?" My mother raised her head and looked at me. "Li-er, you're awake. Did you sleep well? Why didn't you sleep a bit longer? Did we wake you up?" Chapter 170. I nodded and sat down on the sofa. Looking at my mother, I said, "Ma, there's something I need your help with. Suri is preparing to propose marriage to Xinyao's family. I don't know what to prepare for a marriage proposal, but you should know better than me. Can you help him prepare it?" My mother smiled. Mother smiled and said, "Okay, that's a good thing. No problem, leave it to me. I'll go out with the nanny to prepare. It'll be ready by tomorrow." While Mother and I were talking about this, Su Rue happened to come in with the Red Baron. Looking at Suri, my mother said, "Suri, you're here. Li Air and I were just talking about you going to the Duanmu's family to propose marriage. Come and sit. See what else you need to prepare. The Red Baron is here too. Come and sit with us." The Red Baron nodded and put his luggage to the side. Then, he followed Suri to the sofa. I looked at Suri and then at my father. "Dad, there's something else I want to talk to you about." My father nodded and looked at me. I continued, "Dad, Suri has been with me for a while now. You know how capable he is. You see, he's preparing to propose marriage to the Duanmu's family. But Suri doesn't even have his own house. In the future, he'll be living with Susu. Do you think you can arrange a house for Suri as his wedding home? If it's not convenient, I can pay for it." My father looked at Suri. Suri's expression froze. He looked at me and said in a low voice, "Miss, what are you doing? I can slowly get a house myself. It's too troublesome." I secretly pinched him and motioned for him to stop talking. My father looked at me and said, "This isn't a difficult matter, and you don't need to pay for it. The Red Minghui has a residential area with several buildings. It's on the east side of the city, not far from the Duanmu's house. You can contact Secretary Li tomorrow and take Suri there to pick a house he likes. It's not a difficult matter." Hearing my father's words, Suri quickly stood up. He looked at my father and bowed deeply. "Thank you, President. Thank you so much. I know that Miss is just saying good things for me. Thank you so much. In the future, I will do everything I can for the Red Minghui." My father waved his hand and motioned for him to sit down. He looked at him and said, "It doesn't matter. This is also a good thing. It can also promote our family's relationship with the Duanmus. It also has commercial value. So, you don't need to feel embarrassed. The house is given to you, so you can live in peace. Li Air has assured me of your character, and I also believe in your character." Suri's eyes were about to burst into tears. I quickly interrupted and said, "Oh, that's enough. Dad, don't scare him. Look at how scared he is. He's about to cry." My father's face instantly became awkward. He quickly changed the topic. "All right, let's get down to business. Li Air, since you want to go to the U.S., then go next week. Secretary Li will arrange the flight tickets and other things. When the time comes, the Red Baron will go with you. Old Jiang will receive you then. I've already talked to Old Jiang about the project through a conference call. He will also tell you the details. Don't tire yourself too much when you get there. First, take care of your body and give birth to the child smoothly. If you have any problems, you can send your mother to the U.S. I nodded and looked at my father. "Okay, Dad. I understand. I've already told Suri that I won't be taking him with me this time. He has to attend to his own matters. That's fine. There are also some things that he needs to do in the company. Don't worry, I won't make things difficult for him. You guys chat. I'm going to the study." Then, my father stood up and walked towards the study. At this time, my mother looked at the Red Baron and said, "Red Baron, I'll ask the nanny to arrange a room for you later. You and Li Air should get to know each other better. In the future, I'll have to ask you to take care of my daughter." The Red Baron nodded and looked at my mother. "Auntie, don't worry. I'll take good care of the young lady." My mother smiled and nodded. Then, she got up and returned to the bedroom. Only Suri, the Red Baron, and I were left in the living room. I looked at Suri and said, "Suri, you should go and pick up Susu from school." Suri looked down at the time and immediately stood up. He looked at me and said, "Right, I almost forgot about this. I'm going to pick up Susu. I'll be back soon." Then, he turned and ran out of the living room. Only the Red Baron and I were left in the living room. We sat facing each other. I looked at her and said, "Red Baron, don't feel uncomfortable in my family. You'll get used to it after a while. My parents are very kind people. You don't need to worry." The Red Baron looked at me and said, "Yes, I know. I owe the chairman and madam a debt of gratitude. That's why I'm hell-bent on staying in the Red Minghui and working for the Red Minghui." It seemed like the Red Baron knew that I was trying to find out more about her. She seemed to be a smart person. I smiled at the Red Baron and said, "Yes, I don't really want to know about your past. As long as you focus on working for the Red Minghui, it'll be fine. I don't know much about that organization, and my father has never told me about it. To be honest, you must have done a lot of shady things for him. It doesn't matter. My father is a ruthless person. Everything he does is based on his own interests. He might even betray you. Am I right?" The Red Baron looked at me and sneered. "You're just as the chairman said. You're very smart, and you've guessed the chairman's thoughts correctly. However, I made a bet with the chairman that you wouldn't make a mistake. Even if you're pregnant now, or if you're emotionally hurt, it won't affect your ability to work. I'm sure of that. You can use your intelligence to guess, between you and the chairman, who will I side with?" The Red Baron looked at me with a smug expression. I smiled and looked at her. "You won't side with either of us. You can't afford to offend either of us. That's why you'll choose to remain neutral. Am I right? If you side with my father, your days in the United States will be difficult. If you side with me, you might lose your position as the ace fighter in the eyes of the chairman. This will be detrimental to your future development." Chapter 171. The Red Baron stared at me blankly for a moment. Then she said, "You're really smart. You're right. For everyone's sake, it's best if we don't cause unnecessary trouble. Then why don't you take a guess and see if I'll do as you say?" I had already seen through the Red Baron's thoughts. She was a person who only stood in front of her own interests. She had told me all this today to test my bottom line and also to give me a piece of advice. If I encountered any problems in America, she would definitely report to my father immediately. Of course, if I told my father that she didn't take good care of me, her image in my father's heart might be tarnished. The Red Baron thought for a moment. Then she stood up and bowed deeply to me. She looked at me and said, "Young mistress, I look forward to working with you." The Red Baron looked at me and finally smiled. It was rare that she could smile too. After that, when I talked to the Red Baron again, I felt that our relationship had improved significantly. She was also a talkative person. She told me a lot about her time in Red Minghui. It turned out that she was different from what I had imagined. Everyone in my father's hired thugs were trained from childhood, including now. Before the Red Baron was assigned to me, she was an instructor in the hired thugs organization. She told me that the children she taught were all 7 or 8 years old. The youngest was only 5 years old. These children had to undergo up to 16 hours of training every day. The Red Baron told me that when she was young, she was sent to an orphanage by her relatives because her parents were no longer around. The happiest time for the orphans was when the bell in the orphanage rang. It meant that someone was coming to adopt a child. Everyone would stand in a row in the reception hall and wait for the adopter to come and choose a child. On that day, the Red Baron said that the orphanage had always been filled with children. Red Baron remembered that one day, the bell rang as usual. All the children in the orphanage rushed to the reception hall and stood there honestly, waiting for the adopters to come and choose. This time, the person who came was different from the usual people. It was my father. The dean introduced my father grandly, saying that my father was an investor of the orphanage and had specially come to adopt the children. My father looked at all the children and finally stood in front of them. He picked most of the children from among them, including Red Baron. She thought that this way, Red Baron could get the life she wanted, but she did not expect that all the children, including her, were taken to the Red Tea Party and began cruel training. They stayed there for 20 years. Many of the children in Red Baron's batch could not resist the devilish training and lost their lives. In the end, the few people who survived became the core force of the thugs organization. Just like what my father told me when I was a child, they only learned one idea from the beginning, and that was absolute obedience. After listening to the Red Baron's story, I suddenly felt a trace of sympathy for her. I looked at her and said, "Have you never thought of running away? Have you never thought of resisting? The Red Baron shook her head and said, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. What's the difference between this place and the orphanage? Although the president trained us strictly, he also taught us a lot of things. We didn't have to worry about food and water every day. I also had a home of my own with my own hard work. There's nothing wrong with that. I heard from others that a daughter who was adopted from our orphanage was molested by her adoptive father. Her adoptive father threatened to kill her if she told anyone about it. She had no one to turn to and could only endure it. Who would have thought that her adoptive father would become worse and molest her more and more? Later, when her adoptive mother found out about it, her adoptive mother thought that she had seduced her adoptive father and sent her to the police station. In the end, she couldn't bear the pressure and chose to commit suicide. Compared to her, am I not much luckier than her? The president treats us very well. As long as we do what he asks us to do, he will reward us accordingly. I don't think it's a bad thing. I looked at her and said, although it sounds good from what you said, according to your father's habits, there should be a big prerequisite, right? The Red Baron looked at me and smiled. Yes, you are very smart. There is indeed a big prerequisite. That is, I have to work for the Red Minghui for the rest of my life. I belong to the Red Minghui for the rest of my life. If I were to abandon the association, I would have to dedicate my life to it. Wouldn't that be too cruel? I couldn't bear it. It seemed that my father had secretly trained these thugs to do things for him that couldn't be done openly. Rather than saying that they were thugs, it would be more accurate to say that they were killers. If they had sold their lives to the Red Minghui, how could they still have freedom in life? No, I don't. I don't have anyone in this world that I would miss, even in the entire thug organization. At best, we are colleagues, not even friends. We don't need friends. If we have more feelings, it might affect our judgment and delay a lot of things. That's why I decided to stay unmarried a long time ago. It's pretty good. Anyway, I don't know many people, so I definitely won't be able to get married. The Red Baron looked outside. Her eyes were filled with sadness, which made people feel sorry for her. I looked at the Red Baron carefully. Although she didn't like to smile, she was very pleasant to look at when she was serious. Especially when she had a hint of sadness in her eyes. She was very lovable. I sympathized with her. Although my father had arranged for her to stay by my side and monitor me, I still wanted to get along well with her. After all, she was also a pitiful child. I thought for a moment, then looked at the Red Baron and said, Red Baron, how about this? In the future, when we are in front of my parents, let's try to keep a certain distance. That way, they won't be suspicious. When it's just the two of us in private, you don't have to be too restrained with me. I also want to get to know you and be good friends with you. I won't harm you. You have to trust me on this. The Red Baron was stunned for a moment. She looked at me and said, Okay, I understand. Thank you. I knew that she was saying thank you from the bottom of her heart. I also understood that she wasn't a bad woman. She just needed love. She needed someone to get close to her heart. The Red Baron and I chatted very happily. Before we knew it, it was already time for dinner. Suri and Susu had also returned. The whole family happily had a sumptuous dinner. After dinner, I felt a little uncomfortable and wanted to take a walk in the garden. I didn't tell anyone and walked to the rose pond in the garden alone. Looking at the garden full of flowers, I thought of Duanmu K again. The deeper the love, the more painful it would be. My heart still couldn't forget him. I would never be able to forget his eyes when he looked at me with such deep affection. Chapter 172. I didn't know how Duanmu K was doing, and whether he and Han Hao had reconciled. They were supposed to be best buddies, but because of me, their lives had been completely disrupted. I sat by the edge of the rose pool, quietly in a daze. My mind was a mess, and I was also thinking about Han Hao and Duanmu Quebec. Actually, both of them were pretty good, and I wasn't in the mood to think about who I should choose. I just hoped that the two of them could calm down during this period of time and think clearly. It was time for them to mature. Just as I was in a daze, I heard footsteps coming towards me. I turned my head and saw that it was Su Rue. He walked to my side and sat down. He looked at me and said, "What's wrong? What are you doing? Sitting here alone in a daze? Did the baby want to see the roses, or did you want to see the roses?" I rolled my eyes at Suri and said, "I just ate too much and wanted to go out for a walk. You're making it sound like I had something to do." Suri looked at me and smiled. All right, let's stop fooling around. Let's talk about something serious. When I came back, I saw you and the Red Baron talking. What were you guys talking about? You guys seem to get along very well." I looked at Suri and said, "Not bad. She's also a person with a story. It's just that the Red Minghui requires her to not trust anyone, but she's still very kind. I've already reached an agreement with her to help each other. I'll guarantee her position in the Red Minghui, and she'll also guarantee my basic necessities and safety in America. Overall, we're quite compatible and mutually profitable. But I still like her a lot, and when I meet someone suitable in the future, I'll introduce him to her. I also want to marry her into a good family. Her eyes are still very clear, so I believe that she's a good person." Su Rue nodded and said, "Since you said so, I can only believe you unconditionally. Eldest miss, it's because of your kindness that we'll be dead set on staying by your side. Xin Yao also thinks the same. Otherwise, think about it this way. Xin Yao is such a personality. She's so demanding. Since she's dead set on following you, she must be following me because there's something about the two of us that attracts her. In fact, Xin Yao is also very kind. She's also very simple. If you treat her well, she'll treat you well. If you treat her well, you'll treat her well." I looked at Suri and said, "How is it? Are you prepared to meet Xin Yao's parents?" Suri sighed and said, "I'm really not prepared. I'm still afraid that Xin Yao's parents won't agree. My heart is really conflicted. Alas, I've never been afraid of anything before, but now that I've encountered this problem, I'm actually afraid. I'm actually very worried that I won't be able to give Xin Yao happiness. Think about it this way. She's the Kurosawa's eldest daughter, and she's also a famous international designer. She's also very famous. To put it bluntly, if it weren't for the Red Minghui taking me in, I'd be even more worthless. Don't think like that. You're already very outstanding now. Well, you don't have to think about anything now. Tomorrow morning, get up early and come with me to see the house. I've already made an appointment with Secretary Li. Tomorrow morning, after it's settled, I'll immediately arrange for the decoration. Tomorrow, call Xin Yao. After all, this is the place where you two will live in. It's best to let her participate, including the style of decoration." Suri nodded and said, "All right, I got it. The weather's pretty cold. Let's go in." I nodded. Suri helped me up, and the two of us walked back to the room. The next morning, we got up early. Suri had already made an appointment with Xin Yao, so we went directly to pick her up. After we finished breakfast, Suri took me and the Red Baron to the Duanmu's house. Originally, the Red Baron could have rested, but she still wanted to come with us. She was afraid that something would happen to my body. We chatted along the way until we arrived at the Duanmu's house. Just as the car stopped, I saw two people walk out of the house. One was Duanmu K, and the other was Duanmu Xin Yao. We got out of Suri's car. When Xin Yao saw Suri, she hurriedly ran over and threw herself into his arms. I looked at the Duanmu K and was very surprised. It had only been 2 days since we last met, but I suddenly felt that he had become a lot more haggard. Xin Yao looked at me and ran to my side. She hugged my arm and said, "Sister-in-law, you're here. You look good. Thank you for taking us to see the house. I'm very grateful to Uncle Lung and Auntie Lung for preparing a house for Suri. I've also told my parents about Suri. They also want to meet and talk with him. Don't worry, my father likes Suri a lot. I'll be here for him." I rubbed Suri's head and smiled. "It's good. Oh, right, I forgot to introduce you. This is the Red Baron." I pointed at the Red Baron. She was standing next to Suri. Xin Yao saw that she was very close to Suri and became a little angry. She pouted and looked at the Red Baron. Sister-in-law, who is she? Why is she standing next to Suri Gidge? She can't be my love rival, right? I looked at her and smiled. Silly, she was arranged by my father to stay by my side and take care of me. Don't worry, she's my good friend, not your love rival. Although I explained it this way, Xinyao's expression still didn't look good. The atmosphere became more and more awkward. The Red Baron could tell what Xinyao was worried about. She walked in front of Xinyao and held out her hand. Hello, I'm the Red Baron. I'm here to stay by Missy's side. Miss Duanmu, please don't worry. I don't believe in marriage, and I won't interfere in other people's relationships. It's nice to meet you. Xinyao looked at her and then at me. I nodded. She then reached out and shook the Red Baron's hand. The three of them began to chat. Duanmu stood on the side and watched us silently. I looked at him and felt that I should greet him. I walked in front of Duanmu and looked at him. Why are you up so early? Are you going to look at houses with us? Duanmu shook his head. No, I have something to take care of at the company. Xinyao also woke up, so I came out with her. Are you feeling better? You look good. It seems that Mom and Dad took good care of you. I looked at him and said, not bad. I haven't had much to do recently. I've been staying here all day. You, on the other hand, look haggard. Did you not rest well? Duanmu smiled bitterly. Yeah, I've been suffering from insomnia lately. Okay, you guys go back to work. I should go too. Duanmu took a step forward and suddenly moved in front of me. I didn't know what he was going to do, but my face turned red. Chapter 173. He reached out and stroked my head, planting a light kiss on my forehead. Be careful, he said softly. Don't tire yourself out. With that, Duanmu left, leaving me standing there in a daze. Duanmu said goodbye to the others and drove away. I was still standing there with a red face. Xinyao saw my shyness and walked over to me. She put her arm around my shoulder and said, Sister-in-law, my brother has been in a bad mood for the past 2 days. It seems you've given him a big blow. Actually, I feel bad seeing him like this, but I know you have your own ideas. I won't force you to do something you don't want to do, so don't give yourself any pressure. I smiled and looked at Xinyao. Okay, I know. Don't worry. Although Xinyao was next to me, she kept looking at Suri and the Red Baron. It seemed she still didn't trust them. I held Xinyao's arm and said softly, don't worry. There's nothing going on between them. At most, they're just colleagues. I promise you that. Even if there's something going on between them, I'll definitely get rid of them. What do you think? Xinyao sighed. Okay, I'll believe you. As long as you're not lying to me. I could see that Xinyao's mood wasn't very good. I knew she was just afraid that Suri would leave her. I smiled and looked at her. Okay, cheer up. Let's go and pick out a house. Then I pulled Xinyao and walked over to the two of them. Suri drove us to the sales office. Since we had arranged to meet Secretary Li there, it would be convenient for us to pick out a house. Suri drove very fast, and we arrived at the sales office in a short while. As soon as we got out of the car, we saw Secretary Li waiting for us at the entrance. We walked over to her. She smiled and walked over when she saw us. Miss, you're here. I nodded and looked at her. And have you sorted out the information on the vacant rooms? We don't have much time. Once we've chosen one, we'll go over to look at it. Then you can arrange for a renovation company to come over and decorate it. All right, I've already arranged for the information. Eldest miss, let's go in. We followed Secretary Li into the sales office. The salesperson inside warmly received us. She gave us a very detailed introduction of the real estate and also recommended a few good houses. They all sounded very good. Su, Rui, and Xinyao were also listening to the explanation seriously. Finally, they settled on a duplex building. The few of us decided to go and see the house. The apartment building was nearby, so we arrived after a short walk. The apartment that we had chosen was really good. It was a small high-rise apartment with an attic. The lighting in the apartment was also very good. Xinyao started looking around the apartment as soon as she entered. Looking at her expression, I could tell that she really liked this apartment. Suri stayed by Xinyao's side. The two of them looked very lovey-dovey. The two of them walked one round before returning to my side. I looked at Xinyao and asked, "What do you think? What do you think of this apartment? Do you want to look at something else?" Xinyao shook her head. "No need. I really like this apartment. I've already thought about what to put and how to design it. It's just to my liking." I turned to look at Suri. "What about you? What do you think of this place?" Suri looked at me. "I'm fine with it. As long as Xinyao likes it, it's fine." I nodded and looked at Secretary Li. "Secretary Li, this apartment is fine. Is it too troublesome to go through the formalities?" Secretary Li smiled and looked at me. "Young miss, this will take some time. Since Miss Duanmu and Suri have already chosen this apartment, I'll arrange the decorations first. As for the formalities, just leave it to me. I'm sure it'll be done within a week. Don't worry, I'll give the keys to the apartment to Suri after the formalities are done." "All right, thank you for your hard work. I'll leave this matter to you. We'll take our leave first." Then we all left. As soon as we got in the car, Xinyao seemed to have thought of something. She looked at me and said, "Sister-in-law, do you need something?" It suddenly occurred to me that I had something very important to do. I thought for a moment and said, "I don't have anything to do. But what is it that made you so anxious?" Xinyao said, "Suri is coming to my house tomorrow, but he doesn't even have any decent clothes. I want to take him to buy some clothes. Sister-in-law, you and the Red Baron should come with me and give me some advice." After Xinyao said that, I carefully looked at Suri. Maybe I was used to seeing him in casual clothes, but I didn't notice anything. He really didn't have any formal clothes. I looked at Xinyao and said, "All right, since I don't have anything to do, I'll go with you. Let's just take it as a stroll. Where's the Red Baron? Do you have something to do?" I turned to look at the Red Baron. "I don't have anything to do either. My main task is to stay by your side, take care of you, and ensure your safety." The Red Baron looked at me. Xinyao looked at Suri with a smile and said, "That's great. Let's go. We'll go to the shopping center to buy clothes for you. For such a serious matter, you should wear something formal. That way, my father will think that you're serious about this matter." Suri smiled helplessly and started the car, taking us to the shopping center. After we arrived, the four of us entered the shopping center and began to accompany Xinyao to pick out clothes. The Red Baron looked at Suri and Xinyao for a while. Then he looked at me and said in a low voice, "Miss, why do I feel that Suri's mood isn't that high? Shouldn't he be happy when someone buys him clothes? Why does his expression look so serious?" I thought for a moment and said to the Red Baron, "I remember now. There was a sneak attack on the three of us here." At that time, they were aiming for Xinyao. Suri was seriously injured in order to protect us. He probably has a shadow in his heart. It's better to be careful. After all, places with a lot of people are very messy. The Red Baron nodded. We followed behind Suri and Xinyao into a shop. This shop specialized in men's clothing. Xinyao was happily picking out clothes for Suri. The Red Baron and I sat in the lounge area, bored out of our minds. She randomly picked up a book and flipped through it. I glanced around, and my gaze was suddenly attracted by a piece of clothing. The style of the clothing was very good. I suddenly felt that this piece of clothing was very suitable for Duanmu, Quebec. I thought for a moment. We've been together for so long, but I've never bought him any clothes. He actually bought me a wardrobe full of clothes. I felt quite sorry for him. I walked to the clothing and reached out to take a look. The texture was pretty good, and the feeling was quite good. Chapter 174. At this time, a salesperson walked over. She looked at me and said, "Hello, Mississippi. You have good taste. This is our store's newest collection. It just arrived last night. Are you buying it for your lover?" It's very suitable. Your lover must be very handsome. I looked at her and asked, Do you have this 185-centimeter shirt? Give me one. The salesperson nodded and went to the warehouse. Xinyao watched me buy a shirt. She walked over to my side and put her arms around my neck. Sister-in-law, who are you buying this for? It's the newest collection. Actually, I also liked it, but it doesn't suit Suri. Sigh, if it did, I would have bought it. I rolled my eyes at her and said, Stop talking, bad girl. Xinyao looked at me with a mischievous smile. Sister-in-law, who are you buying this for? Han, how, Gidge is my older brother. I'm so curious. You've aroused this princess curiosity. Xinyao's teasing made me blush. I didn't know how to respond. I turned around and saw another set of men's clothing that was also very good. I shook off Xinyao's hand and looked at it. The quality was also very good, and the price was about the same. I looked at the salesperson and shouted, Give me this one in the same size. I turned to look at Xinyao with a proud expression. Xinyao looked at me and laughed. I couldn't help but want to beat her. She was so scared that she quickly ran to find Suri. After a while, I walked out of the store. I looked at the 2 sets of clothes I bought and thought for a moment. I called out to Xinyao and said softly, Xinyao, take some time and help me give these 2 sets of clothes to Han, Hao, and your brother. I'm about to go abroad, and it might be a few years before I come back. Just treat it as a parting gift. Xinyao was stunned. She took the clothes from my hands and looked at me. Sister-in-law, have you really decided to go to America? You won't have your parents by your side. How will you take care of yourself? Will Red Baron be enough to accompany you? I don't feel at ease. How about you let Suri accompany you? When I'm done here, I'll go there too. It just so happens that the head office in America wants to talk to me about the new designs. I've been looking for an excuse to decline. If I go back this time, I'll be able to accompany you. I looked at Xinyao and said, Silly girl, you should just stay in the country peacefully. I left Su Rue with you so that you two can live a good life together. So, you shouldn't think too much about my matters here. Taking care of yourself is more important than anything else. Besides, it's not like I won't come back. When I come back, you'll have a niece or nephew. At that time, you'll be an aunt. How can you still be so childish? Xinyao curled her lips and looked at me and said, I can't win against you, okay? Okay, I promise you I will take care of the things around me, but you also have to promise me that you will take good care of yourself. If something really happens to you, you will make my heart very sad. Can you bear it? Finished speaking, she looked at me with eyes full of tenderness. My face darkened, and I turned my head away in disgust. Xinyao said that she still wanted to buy shoes for Suri. The few of us walked towards the shoe section. Perhaps it was because I was pregnant, but I felt tired after walking a few steps. Suri and the others were very accommodating to me. They walked very slowly with me. They knew that it was inconvenient for me to walk because I was pregnant. Xinyao also promised me that she would hurry up and buy shoes for me. Then, she would go home and rest with me. We entered the elevator. Just as the elevator door was about to close, a hand suddenly reached in. Then, 2 tall and sturdy men came in. I suddenly felt that there was something wrong with these 2 people. With my current condition, I couldn't get into a fight with others. I looked at Suri and hinted him to be careful. The Red Baron and Suri stood in front of me and Xinyao. Xinyao and I stood in the innermost part of the elevator. The elevator door closed and began to move down. Just as the elevator started to move, the 2 men suddenly turned around and took out 2 knives. The 4 of us immediately became nervous. Suri looked at the 2 of them and shouted, What are you trying to do? The 2 men didn't say anything. They stretched out their knives and stabbed Xinyao and me. Xinyao screamed in fear. She squatted on the ground, and I shielded her behind me. Just then, the Red Baron and Suri pounced on the 2 of them. The space in the elevator was very small. The Red Baron and Suri wrestled with the 2 men. They were afraid that they would hurt Xinyao and me, so they tried to put some distance between us to ensure our safety. I hugged Xinyao tightly and pressed myself against the wall of the elevator. I didn't think about anything else at that moment. I just hoped that the elevator would reach the first floor and open the door as soon as possible. Just as we were about to reach the second floor, a man stretched out his knife and cut the Red Baron's arm. Blood flowed out. The Red Baron ignored the pain and held the man down. The elevator finally reached the first floor. The moment the door opened, the Red Baron suddenly turned around and pushed the two men into the elevator. Then she turned around and pushed Suri, Xinyao, and I out of the elevator. She shouted, "Hurry up and leave." Red Baron. Before I could react, the elevator door closed and went up. I knocked on the elevator door with all my might, but it wouldn't open. Suri pulled me and Xinyao behind him. Seeing that the surroundings were still safe, he quickly dialed a number in the club. Xinyao was scared out of her wits. She sat on the ground, and her shopping bags were scattered all over the floor. I didn't know what to do. I hugged her tightly, but I was worried about the Red Baron. After Suri finished the call, he pressed the elevator button, hoping that the elevator would come down quickly. As expected, the elevator started to go down as soon as it reached the fifth floor. Then the fourth floor, the third floor, the second floor. Finally, it reached the first floor. Suri found a fire extinguisher from somewhere along the way. He stood by the door, waiting for the elevator to open so that he could rush in. When the elevator door opened, the scene inside shocked us. The two men who attacked us were lying on the ground. The entire elevator was covered in blood. The Red Baron was also covered in blood. She was clutching her abdomen. I saw that she had been stabbed in the stomach and was bleeding profusely. Suri quickly threw away the fire extinguisher and carried the Red Baron out. The Red Baron glanced at me. She smiled and then lost consciousness. Red Baron. Suri touched her artery and said softly, "It's okay." She just muddled through. "Miss, the brothers are rushing over. Don't be afraid." Then Suri dialed 120. My tears flowed out. This was the second time I had encountered this in this shopping mall. I had nothing left to live for. Chapter 175. However, I had to stay calm right now. I calmed myself down and walked into the elevator. I reached out and touched the two men's arteries. Luckily, they were only unconscious and weren't dead yet. This wouldn't be a murder case. I told Suri, and Suri heaved a sigh of relief. After waiting for about 5 minutes, the ambulance arrived. The Red Minghue's people also arrived. Suri gave me a few simple instructions. I helped Xinyao up, and we followed the ambulance to the hospital. When we arrived at the hospital, the Red Baron had already been pushed into the emergency operating room and was undergoing emergency treatment. Suri's phone hadn't stopped ringing. It seemed that the incident at the shopping center was also difficult to deal with. I glanced at Xinyao. She hadn't recovered yet, and her eyes were still filled with tears. My heart ached when I saw her like this. I hugged her tightly and comforted her softly. After a while, Suri finished his call. He walked over to the two of us. He looked at me and sighed. "Miss, let me do it." I nodded and let go of Xinyao. Suri sat next to Xinyao and hugged her. Xinyao lay in Suri's arms and cried even louder. I looked at Suri and asked softly, "What did they say?" Su Rue looked up at me and said, "Miss, the two people have been sent to the hospital together. Although the two of them were stabbed a few times, they were not fatal. It should be said that the Red Baron deliberately did not stab their vital parts. They should be fine. Now, our people are watching over them. Don't worry, they are my subordinates and are very reliable. It's just that until now, no one related to these two people has come to look for them. We don't know who they are and why they wanted to assassinate us. I have already told them to inform me as soon as they wake up or if someone comes to look for them. Miss, don't worry. Leave this matter to me. Just leave it to me." I nodded and looked at Suri. "All right, I understand. We need to investigate this matter thoroughly and see if it's related to the previous incident. We need to know if they were after Xinyao or me. Su Rue, why don't you take Xinyao back home first? Let her stay at home for a while. I'll contact the Duanmu family later. It's best not to let the elders know about this for the time being. We'll make a decision based on the severity of the matter after the investigation. If they're after Xinyao again, then this matter might be too serious. You should also investigate if Xinyao has offended anyone while she's abroad. If she really did offend someone, investigate that person as well. This is a bit too much. Suri looked at Xinyao and gently stroked her hair. Then he looked up at me and said, I can take her home, but can you stay in the hospital alone? There are a lot of people in this place. What if something happens again? I don't feel at ease, but sigh. Suri let out a long sigh. I thought for a moment, then picked up my phone and sent a message. After waiting for a while, I heard a notification sound. I smiled and looked at Suri. Take Xinyao home. I've already called someone to accompany me. Don't worry, it's 2 people, so they'll be fine. Suri immediately understood what I meant. He helped Xinyao stand up, then looked at me and said, Zhanji, I understand. Be careful. I'll take Xinyao home first. I'll come back when she's stable. I nodded, and he and Xinyao turned and left the hospital. I let out a long sigh. So many things had happened in one morning, and I suddenly felt very worried. I'd just called Han Hao and Duanmu K to come to the hospital to find me, but I didn't know how long it would take for them to arrive. Compared to that, I was more worried about the Red Baron lying in the operating room. Her actions had really surprised me. I hadn't expected her to sacrifice herself for our safety. I could imagine the scene, and I felt very sorry for her. I'd been suspicious of her, and I'd even thought that she would go against me for my father. It seemed that I'd been thinking too much. Just as my thoughts were running wild, the door to the operating room opened, and a doctor came out. He stood at the door and shouted, Who is Lin Yu's family? I quickly stood up and looked at the doctor. It's me. I'm Lin Yu's family. The doctor looked me up and down. Then he looked at me and said in a serious tone, Lin Yu's injuries are very serious. There's a stab wound in her chest, and it's an inch away from her heart. There's also a stab wound in her abdomen. We're trying to save her right now, but she's still in critical condition. The nurse will ask you to sign the notice of critical condition later. I'll go in now. Doctor. I wanted to beg the doctor, but before I could open my mouth, the doctor had already entered the operating room. Hearing the doctor's words, I almost collapsed. I sat on the chair by the door of the operating room, my head leaning against the wall. I didn't know how to face it, and I couldn't stop my tears from flowing out. After 2 minutes, the door to the operating room opened again. A nurse came to me with a folder. She looked at me and asked in a soft voice, Excuse me, are you Lin Yu's family? I raised my head and nodded at her. She handed me the folder in her hand. Then she looked at me and said, This is the notice of critical condition. The family member needs to sign. Please sign here. She pointed at the blank space where the family member needed to sign. My heart collapsed, and I was very conflicted. Should I sign this? If the Red Baron really lost his life to protect me, I wouldn't be able to bear it for the rest of my life. Xin wouldn't be able to bear it. What should I do? My hand trembled as I held the pen. I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know if I should sign this. While I was hesitating, someone suddenly rushed in front of me. He snatched the pen from my hand and signed the notice of critical condition. Then he took out a stack of money from his pocket and put it on the folder. He looked at the nurse and shouted, Hurry up and save her. The nurse was stunned. She took the folder and ran into the operating room. He turned around, and I saw that it was Duanmu, Quebec. I opened my mouth to ask him, but Duanmu K sat next to me. He put his hands on my shoulders and looked at me. Are you stupid? Don't you know that if you don't sign the notice of critical condition, the doctor won't save her? They'll only start the operation if you sign it. Also, if you don't pay, they won't take responsibility. Chapter 176. Duanmu K sighed. He looked at me and said, What's wrong with you? Why do you suddenly not know what to do? I didn't know why, But when I saw Duan Muke, I cried even harder. I knew that he was right and that he was worried about me, but I still felt very sad. Duan Muke saw that I was crying very sadly. He shook his head helplessly and reached out to pull me into his arms. I leaned on his shoulder and couldn't stop my tears. He gently stroked my hair and said, all right. I know I may have said too much, but I didn't really want to scold you. Saving people is indeed more important. I also know that you are under a lot of pressure. I called Su Rue on the way here, and he told me what happened. When I heard it, I became nervous. Don't worry, I have decided to investigate this matter carefully and see who was so bold to hurt you. Don't cry anymore. The Red Baron will definitely wake up. You must think so. You have to believe it. Duan Muke's words calmed me down a lot. Perhaps I also needed a warm hug when I was feeling helpless. Duan Muke held my face and looked at me. All right, stop crying. Your face is all messed up. You haven't eaten for a long time, right? I'll go buy you something to eat. Duan Muke wanted to stand up, but I grabbed his sleeve. He lost his balance and fell back down. He looked at me and said, what's wrong? I won't go far. I'll go to the supermarket outside, okay? I shook my head and looked at Duanmu Quebec. Don't go, okay? Stay with me for a while, okay? Duan Muke was stunned. Then he looked at me and nodded. All right, I'll stay with you. Don't be afraid. Duan Muke held my hand tightly and stayed by my side quietly. Time ticked by, and the light in the operating room was still on. Then my phone rang. I picked it up and saw that it was Han Hao. As I was about to answer, Duan Muke reached out and snatched my phone away. He answered the call and said softly, hello, Xiao Hao. I'm Duan Mu Quebec. Don't ask me how I answered the call. Where are you? You're almost there, right? Is there a fast food restaurant near you? Hurry up and buy some food for Xiaoli. She hasn't eaten anything yet. If she continues like this, her body will be finished. Hurry up and bring some food. That's all. We'll settle everything when we meet. Before I could react, Duan Muke hung up the phone. He handed me the phone. I looked at him and asked, why did you answer my call without my permission? What's the matter that you two have to settle in person? Duan Muke looked at me and put his arm around my shoulder. He held me tightly in his arms and said softly, I don't care about anything else. Your health is the most important thing. I can't go out, so I can only ask Xiao how to bring you some food. Besides, it's a matter between us two men. You don't have to worry about it. Now, you just need to take care of yourself. I didn't say anything else, but I didn't know why. It had only been a little more than a day since we last met, but I suddenly felt that he had changed a lot. Although these words alone didn't sound very nice, my heart was very warm. Was it because he was still protecting me? Why was it that I felt more and more reluctant to part with him, even though we were divorced? After 5 minutes, Han Hao appeared, carrying a big bag of food. He first looked at Duan Muke, then handed me the food. He looked at me and said, Xiaoli, hurry up and eat something. I really don't know what you should eat, so I could only buy you some food. When we're done, I'll take you out to eat. I called Suri, and Suri told me what happened between you two. What happened? Are you hurt? I took the bag from Han Hao and shook my head. I'm fine, but Xinyao was frightened. I asked Suri to take her back to my house first. He was worried that I wouldn't be safe here alone, so I called the two of you over. I'm in a bad mood today, so please don't quarrel in front of me. Duan Muke and Han Hao looked at each other and didn't say anything. The three of us were sitting on the chairs at the door of the operating room. It had been a long time, but the lights in the operating room were still on. My heart was getting more and more nervous. Could it be that Red Baron's injury is really life-threatening? After waiting for about 10 minutes, the operating room light finally went off. The three of us stood up. The door to the operating room opened, and the doctor walked out. After a while, the Red Baron's bed was pushed out. I looked at the Red Baron and called out softly, Red Baron. The doctor seemed to see my worry. He looked at me and said, You're Lin Yu's family, right? You don't have to worry too much. The operation went smoothly, but he still needs to be under observation in the ICU. He's not out of danger yet. Once he's out of danger, he can be transferred to a normal ward. I smiled at the doctor with tears in my eyes. Thank you. Thank you for saving his life. The doctor looked at me and smiled. All right, this is what we should do. You can go to the reception desk with the nurse later to handle the hospitalization procedures. If there's anything you need me for, just call me. Then, the doctor turned and left. Han Hao looked at me and said softly, Xiaoli, you go to the ICU first. I'll go and handle the hospitalization procedures. Xiao Hao, I don't need you to do that. I brought enough money. Before I could finish, Han Hao had already run away. I sighed. With my current body, I couldn't catch up with him. I'd better wait for the next opportunity to pay him back. Duanmu K hugged me and said softly, let's go. We'll go to the ward. Then, he pulled me toward the hospital bed. Duanmu K didn't let go of my hand the whole way. I could feel that he was walking very slowly today. According to his usual walking speed, he should be able to leave me a few blocks behind. But today, he was walking very slowly. Was he trying to accommodate me? Just as I was thinking, Duanmu K asked softly, This Linyu person is the Red Baron, right? Do you know anything about her background? I nodded. I do. The first day I met her, I sent Suri to investigate her. Her background is very clean. She was raised by the Red Minghui since she was a child. She wholeheartedly serves the Red Minghui. Why do you suddenly want to ask about this? Duanmu K thought for a moment and said, It's nothing. It's just that I don't know her well. I don't feel safe with her around you. I'm even wondering if what happened today was targeted at her. Chapter 177. I thought for a moment and looked at Duanmu, Quebec. I don't think that's possible. After the two of them turned around and took out their knives, they rushed towards me and Xinyao. If it weren't for the Red Baron and Suri who tried their best to stop them, we would be the ones lying in the hospital right now. Duanmu K hugged me and said softly, No matter what, as long as you're fine, it's fine. When she wakes up, I will thank her properly. Thank her for risking her life to protect you. I lowered my head and didn't look at him. Xiao K, why are you so good to me? I asked. Duanmu K stopped walking and I looked up at him. He hugged me and lifted my chin, kissing me deeply on the lips. He looked at me and said, Because I didn't cherish you when you were by my side. When I lost you, I realized that you were the one who truly belonged to me. I asked the doctor, and he said that the hope of recovering my memory is very slim. I really want to recover my memory, and I want to know what happened between you and I. Did we really love each other back then? I really want to know. I also understand that you liked the me back then, and I want to be the person you love too. No matter if it's in the past or in the future, I only hope that I can always be by your side. Hearing Duanmu K's words, my eyes flickered. I pushed his hand away and didn't dare to look at him. Let's go, I said softly. The Red Baron is waiting for us. Then, I turned and walked toward the ward. Duanmu K just stayed by my side quietly. He still had his arm around my shoulder as he walked with me to the Red Baron's ward. Because it was the ICU, the ward was completely isolated. The patient's family members weren't allowed to enter the ward. Duanmu K and I could only stand outside the window and look at Red Baron, who was lying on the bed. She was covered with a blanket, and her shoulders were exposed. She had always looked thin and weak, but now she looked even thinner. I gently touched the glass window and looked at her, who was lying on the bed, worriedly. There were many tubes in her body, and she was on a ventilator. I didn't know when she would be out of danger. After a while, Han Hao came over. He walked up to me and glanced at Duanmu, Quebec. Then he looked at me and said, Xiaoli, how's the situation? The hospitalization procedures have been completed. I've also arranged for the Red Baron to be transferred to a normal ward after she's out of danger. It's a single ward. Don't worry. I smiled at Han Hao and said softly, Han Hao, thank you for doing all this for me. Han Hao shook his head. He stroked my hair and said softly, "Silly, it's not a big deal. As long as you're fine, it's fine. Do you need me to call a few people over? The Red Minghui didn't send anyone, right? It must be because you didn't let Suri tell Uncle Long." I nodded and said, "It won't be too late to tell them after we investigate the matter. We don't know anything now. Even if we tell them, they'll have to investigate first." Just then, my phone rang. I took it out and saw that it was Suri. I quickly answered the call. "Hello, Suri. What's wrong?" "One of the two people has woken up," Suri told me. "What? Really? Which ward is he in?" "I'll go over now." I couldn't care less. I suddenly thought of Xinyao and asked, "How's Xinyao? Is she better?" "Sai, she's a little better, but I'm still worried about her. I can't leave, but that person has woken up. I still have so many things to ask him. I'm so worried. It would be great if I could split myself." I understood what Suri meant. I thought for a moment and said, "How about this? You stay with Xinyao and ask two people to guard the entrance of the Red Baron's intensive care unit. Xiaokei, Xiaohao, and I will go over there to check on the situation. If there's anything, we'll call again." "Okay, I got it. I'll arrange it now." Then Suri hung up. I turned and looked at Duanmuke and Han Hao. "Xiaokei, Xiao, one of the people who attacked us has woken up. Can you accompany me to check on the situation later? Suri will arrange for people to come over." Duanmuke and Han Hao looked at each other and then nodded at me. After waiting for about 2 minutes, two men walked over to us. They walked straight to me and bowed. "Miss, we were sent by Brother Suri. He said that Miss has something for us to do. Miss, please tell us what to do." I looked at them and said, "I have something to do later. You two stay here and watch the ward and the people in it. If anyone other than the hospital staff comes near, stop them. If the Red Baron does anything, please call the doctor as soon as possible. I have something to do. I'll be back as soon as I'm done." "Okay, we understand." Then, the two of them stood at the door of the ward. I glanced at Han, Hao, and Duanmuke and motioned for them to leave with me. The three of us walked in the direction Suri had described. I had a lot of questions in my mind and decided to interrogate him when I saw him. Why did he want to assassinate us? On the way, I kept thinking about how to interrogate him. As we walked, Han Hao suddenly grabbed me from behind. I lost my balance and almost fell. Han Hao hugged me. As I came back to my senses, I saw a group of people pushing a hospital bed past me. If Han Hao hadn't grabbed me, I would have collided with the hospital bed. After the crowd passed, I stood up from Han Hao's embrace. Han Hao looked at me with a worried expression. "Are you okay? Did you hurt yourself?" I looked at Han Hao and shook my head. "I'm fine, thank you. Otherwise, I would have collided with the hospital bed." I turned around and saw Duanmu K standing next to us with a gloomy face. He must have seen everything that had happened. I didn't know what to do. Duanmu K glared at Han Hao. Then he held my shoulder tightly and walked forward. I turned to look at Han Hao. Han Hao shook his head helplessly and followed behind us. I looked at Duanmu K and said softly, "Let go of me." "Why? Why should I let you go? What if you get hit again because you're distracted like just now?" I didn't know how to respond to Duanmu K's words. However, Han Hao was watching me from behind. I struggled with all my strength. In the end, Duanmu K let go of me. I looked at Duanmu K and said, "It's okay. I can walk on my own. I'll be careful." Then, I turned around and continued to walk forward. I looked behind me out of a corner of my eyes. Duanmu K and Han Hao were quietly following behind me. Chapter 178. The three of us arrived at the door of the ward Suri had told us about. Sure enough, Red Minghui's men were guarding the door. When they saw us, they recognized me and walked towards me. One of them whispered to me, "Young lady, the man who woke up is inside. We've already called the doctor to check on him. His condition is stable, but he's a bit agitated. We've tied him to the bed, but he's still struggling. Young lady, do you need us to accompany you inside? I looked through the window on the door. The man was tied to the bed, and he was struggling with all his might. The bed was creaking, and there were a lot of things scattered around on the floor. They must have been dropped by him while he was struggling. I turned to the men at the door and said, "No need. The two of them are enough to accompany me. You two stand guard outside. If you see anyone suspicious, stop them and bring them in." Okay. After they said that, I pushed the door open and entered the ward with Han, Hao, and Duanmu, Quebec. They closed the door behind us. The man stopped struggling when he saw us enter and stared at us with wide eyes. I walked in front of him and pulled over a stool to sit down. I studied him carefully. The man was very tall, about 185 meters tall. He was also very fat. Although he was wearing a hospital gown, his exposed arms and neck were covered with scars of different sizes. He looked like a professional thug. His face was covered with thick stubble, and he looked at us fiercely. I could see that he was clenching his fists. I looked at him and said, "Don't struggle. I just want to talk to you." The man recognized me. He sneered and said, "What do we have to talk about?" It seemed that he was also a stubborn person. I sat there and said to him, "You don't have to talk to me like that. Let's talk straight. Tell me honestly, who sent you to assassinate us? Did they send you to kill me or Duanmu Xinyao?" When the man heard my question, he laughed and said, "Use your brain and think. Do you think I'll tell you? If you want to kill me, just do it. Don't talk to me. It's useless." I looked at him and said, "You know, the person who tried to assassinate us with you is still lying in the next room. If you cooperate and tell me what happened, I promise I won't hold it against you. But if you continue to be like this, even if you die in the hospital, no one will know." The man looked at me and sneered. "Are you threatening me? I'm telling you it's useless. You don't have to threaten me. When I was in the underworld, you didn't even know where you were." As soon as he finished speaking, he began to struggle again. He struggled to get up from the bed and rushed towards me. I didn't have time to react, and my body leaned back. I forgot that I was still sitting in the chair, and the chair fell backward. I was about to fall. Fortunately, Han Hao ran behind me and caught the chair. He reached out and pulled me into his arms. I lost my balance and fell heavily into Han Hao's arms. He held me tightly, afraid that I would fall again. As soon as I reacted, Duanmu K rushed out from my side. He jumped onto the bed and sat on top of the man. Duanmu K reached out his left hand and grabbed the man's neck. Then he took out a military knife from his pocket and pointed it at the man's eyes. Duanmu K whispered to him, "Don't move. The knife doesn't have eyes. Don't blame me for blinding you." The man stopped struggling and lay on the bed. Duanmu K didn't loosen his grip. He held the man's neck and pointed the knife at his eyes. Seeing that the man stopped struggling, Duanmu K sneered and looked at him. "It seems talking to you isn't going to work. I have to use violence to make you stop. What's wrong? Shaoli isn't going to work when talking to you." Duanmu K suddenly became very serious. He looked at the man and shouted, "Speak. Who sent you to assassinate Shaoli and my sister?" The man didn't answer. He stared fiercely at Duanmu, Quebec. Duanmu K tightened his grip on the man's neck and shouted again, "Speak. Who the hell sent you?" The man still didn't speak. Maybe Duanmu K was using too much strength, but his face was red. I was afraid that Duanmu K would choke him to death. Seeing that the man's mouth was so tight, Duanmu K sneered and said, "You don't want to speak? Fine, I have a way to make you speak." Duanmu K loosened his grip on the man's neck, holding the knife in his right hand. He didn't even blink when he cut the man's arm. Blood instantly flowed out from the wound. The man screamed, "Ah! How is it? Are you going to speak or not?" Duanmu K raised the knife. The blood on the knife dripped onto the man's face. The man endured the pain and still didn't speak. Duanmu K sneered. He raised the knife again and cut the man's arm twice. "Xiao K." I was just about to call out to Duanmu K, but Han Hao stopped me. He hugged me tightly and said softly, "Let Xiao Ke handle it. He has experience in this area." Experience? What kind of experience? What if someone dies? He will be sentenced. I was really worried. If something really happened and it didn't have anything to do with him, but his future was ruined because of this incident, how would I explain it to Duanmu Tachio and Xiao Fengya? Han Hao was stunned for a moment. Then he looked at me and said, "Don't worry. Xiao Ke knows what he's doing. You just need to watch him from the side. It won't be long before this man tells you everything you want to know." While Han Hao and I were talking, Duanmu Ke added a few more wounds to the man's body. More blood flowed out. Duanmu Ke squatted on top of the man and showed him the knife. Duanmu Ke sneered and said, "One last chance. Are you going to talk or not? If you don't talk, I will start cutting your face." That man's face was covered in sweat, and he was panting heavily. It seemed that the pain brought him no small amount of torture. With great effort, he opened his eyes and looked at Duanmu Quebec. In a soft voice he said, I'll tell you everything. Please don't hurt me." Chapter 179. After listening to him, Duanmu Ke turned to look at me. His eyes were asking me if I could listen to his explanation. I nodded at Duanmu Quebec. Duanmu Ke jumped down from his body. He grabbed a tissue and wiped the bloody knife. Then he returned to my side. I looked at the man, covered in blood. I was afraid that his life would be in danger. I pressed the button to connect to the nurse's station. A moment later, a nurse came in. She looked at me and asked, "What happened?" I pointed at the dying man on the bed. I looked at the nurse and said, "Please bandage him." The nurse followed my finger and saw the man lying on the bed, covered in blood. She was shocked. "Oh my God! What's going on?" Han Hao glared at her. "Do your job. Don't ask about anything else." Hearing Han Hao's words, the nurse was scared. She obediently took out some medical equipment and started to treat the man's wounds. We stood aside and watched them. I wanted to ask more questions after they were done. Finally, the nurse left the room. I walked to the bed and looked at the man who was wrapped like a mummy. I asked softly, "Tell me who sent you here?" The man opened his eyes. He looked at me and said softly, "Actually, I'm not too clear about who sent us here. I only know that one day when I was at home, I received a call telling me to deal with two people. One is called Duanmu Xinyao, and the other is called Long Yoli. We've already secretly investigated you two, and we also know that you two are the young misses of the Red Tea Society and the Black Nightmare Society. This matter is a little tricky to handle, but the employer's offer is too tempting. Therefore, my brother and I took this job and decided to leave a city once we're done. At that time, you won't be able to find us even if you want to." Duanmu Ke looked at him and said fiercely, "It looks like you're well prepared." The man continued, "In fact, we've been investigating for a long time. I was in charge of following you, and my brother was in charge of following Duanmu Xinyao. We happened to see you go shopping this morning, so we knew our chance had come. We also investigated. Suri is your bodyguard, and we also know that he's Duanmu Xinyao's boyfriend. He's pretty good at fighting, so we decided to have one to restrain him and the other to kill him. When you went to Duanmu's house that day, I thought that Duanmu Ke would go with you. That way, we wouldn't be able to carry out our plan, but Duanmu Ke didn't go with you, so we knew our chance had come. Of course, we didn't know who the woman beside you was. We thought that since she was a woman, she wouldn't be a threat to us. But we were wrong. That woman's fighting skills are even better than Suri's. If we didn't have weapons in our hands, the two of us would have been beaten to the ground." "You're wrong. The two of you were beaten to the ground, but the Red Baron didn't hurt your vitals. What about you? You were trying to take his life. Thinking that the Red Baron wasn't out of danger yet, I was very angry. I roared at the man. Han Hao gently patted my shoulder to calm me down. He looked at the man and said softly, "You can continue." The man continued, Since we were going to meet two young ladies from the Red Minghui and the Kurosawa, I felt that this matter wasn't as simple as it seemed. When I paid the deposit, I requested that we pay face-to-face in cash. I thought that the employer would refuse, but I didn't expect that he would agree. Who is the employer? Did you find out? I asked. After that day, I found out that there were two people who hired me. They had the same goal, to assassinate you. That's why they came to me, together. I happened to know one of their subordinates, so I learned the real reason. One of them was because young Master K of the Kurosawa had a conflict with them in a bar. Later, the people from the Red Minghui arrived in time and severely injured them. The other person wanted to assassinate the Duanmu Xinyao because Duanmu Xinyao had affected her future in the fashion industry. That's why she wanted to assassinate the Duanmu Xinyao. On the surface, it looked like two different things, but in fact, it was the same thing. The employer said that the cruelest way to make someone completely lose control was to hurt the person closest to them. Since they knew that the Cold Glaze and the Duanmu Xinyao were Duanmu K's people, as long as they assassinated you, they would be able to make the Duanmu K live in pain forever. That's what they wanted. That's why they wanted to assassinate you, but they didn't expect that the plan would fail. I thought for a moment and quickly dialed Suri's number. I told him what had happened. Suri was shocked. Suri asked me, "Miss, what should we do next?" Before I could open my mouth, Duanmu K snatched the phone away from me. He said to Suri, "Suri, I'm Duanmu, Quebec. Listen to my arrangements. First, tell a few of our men to guard the wards of these two people and the Red Baron. As for the matter of tracking down those people, leave it to the Kurosawa. I will give the Red Minghui a satisfactory explanation for this matter. Also, you're with Xinyao now, right? Ask Xinyao if she has offended anyone. Tell her to think about it. If she has an answer, tell me. I will investigate it." Duanmu K hung up the phone. I looked at him with a dark expression. His bad habit of making decisions on his own hadn't changed at all. Duanmu K took out his phone and dialed number. I only heard him say, "I'm Duanmu, Quebec. Send 50 people from the society to the central hospital. I need them to help me find someone. Tell them to come over now." Duanmu K turned to look at me and Han Hao. He handed me my phone, then looked at me and gently stroked my hair. Then he turned to Han Hao and said, "I don't have anything to tell you. I'm giving you a very important task, and that is to take good care of Xiao Li. If they hire someone else to ambush us while we're investigating this matter, Xiao Li will be in the most danger. I believe in you, so I hope you can take good care of Xiao Li." Han Hao looked at Duanmu K and nodded. He said softly, "I can promise you that. But can you do it alone? It's obvious that their ultimate goal is to target you. Are you sure you can handle it alone?" Duanmu K turned to look at the person lying on the bed. He said softly, "Let's go. We'll talk outside." Chapter 180. The three of us walked out of the room and stopped at a place where no one else was around. I looked at Duanmu K and asked, "What do you think? If you do this alone, it will definitely take a lot of time and effort." Duanmu K looked at me and said, "I know I have a plan. First, I'll let Suri find out who's targeting Xinyao. As for the people who had a conflict with me that day, I'll let our Kurosawa people find them and investigate them thoroughly. Then, we'll hand them over to the Red Minghui. The person targeting my sister might be a little more troublesome. If I'm not wrong, the person who contacted these two thugs wasn't herself. She should be abroad and must have worked with Xinyao before. Later on, Xinyao's performance was better than hers, so she couldn't take it anymore and decided to make a move. I remember that Xinyao mentioned this to me once. At the time, I didn't pay too much attention to it, but I didn't expect that it was just the beginning. I nodded and looked at Duanmu, Quebec. "Xiao K, you can go do what you need to do. I understand what you mean. If you need me to do anything, I'll arrange for Suri to help you." Duanmu K looked at me and smiled. Then he looked at Han Hao and said, "Xiao Hao, I'll leave Xiao Li to you. Although I want to take care of her myself, it's more important to find the real culprit behind this. Only then can we ensure Xiao Li's safety. I'm not worried about leaving her in your care, but that doesn't mean I'm giving in. If you don't treat Xiao Li well during this time, I definitely won't let you off. Han Hao looked at him seriously and said, "Don't worry. I'll hurt myself, but I won't hurt her. Also, I promise to compete fairly with you. I won't take advantage of this opportunity to do anything to Xiao Li. So, please don't question my character." Duanmu nodded. He reached out and gently stroked my hair. "Xiao Li, I'll be leaving first. Call me if you need anything." Then he turned and left. Han Hao and I stood there and watched his back disappear into the distance. Han Hao looked at me and whispered, "Let's go. I'll take you to a place to eat first. You've been busy for so long." I shook my head and said, "Let's go first." I shook my head and looked at Han Hao saying, "Not yet. Come with me to the obstetrics and gynecology department to check on the baby. I've been tossing and turning all morning. I don't know if he's okay. Can you come with me first? I'm a bit worried. Little K was here just now, so I couldn't say anything. After all, he still doesn't know that I'm pregnant, okay?" Han Hao nodded and helped me leave. The two of us went to the OB/GYN department. After waiting in line for a while, it was finally my turn. I asked Han Hao to wait for me outside the door. I entered the doctor's consultation room. It was the same doctor who had seen me before. When she saw me, she glared at me and then said, "You finally came for a checkup. Didn't you know that your checkup date has already passed? Why did you think of coming for a checkup today?" I smiled at the doctor and obediently lay down on the bed next to her. I said to the doctor, "I'm sorry. Recently, I had some family matters to deal with. That's why I was delayed." The doctor glared at me again, and then she began to examine me. After a while, she looked at the monitor and said softly, "Good. Everything is normal. But your body is still weak. Did you take the medicine I prescribed last time?" I nodded and looked at her. "Yes, I've taken them on time." "Then your diet isn't balanced. Miss Lung, it's not that I want to criticize you, but you're not alone now. You have to think about the child in your belly. Where's the child's father? Did he come with you? Call him in later. I have something to tell him." The doctor stopped what she was doing and looked at me with a helpless expression. I sighed in my heart and said softly to her, "I think you should know that the child's father and I are divorced. He still doesn't know that I'm pregnant. I don't plan to tell him. I want to give birth to the child myself. After all, the child is innocent." The doctor was stunned for a moment. Then she helped me up and looked at me. "It's not that I want to criticize you, but I'm doing this for your own good. When a woman is pregnant, what she wants the most is to have someone by her side. A single mother like you needs more care. You should let him know and let him take good care of you. Although your family doesn't lack money, and his family doesn't lack money, feelings can't be measured by money." I nodded and looked at her with a smile. "I know. I'll keep a good attitude and take good care of myself. All right. I'm going to America soon. The baby is going to be born there. If I get on the plane, will it affect the baby? It won't, but there are still a lot of things that you should pay attention to. How about this? I'll prepare a detailed document for you. I'll send it to your email when the time comes. You can take a look at it when you have time." "Okay, thank you." I gave her my email address and left the consultation room. Han Hao was waiting for me outside. When he saw me come out, he immediately came to my side. He looked at me and asked softly, "What did the doctor say?" I sighed and said softly, "The doctor said it's okay. The baby is fine. She said it's just that my body is too weak and I need to replenish a lot of nutrients. But she said she'll prepare a set of ingredients for me so that I can properly nourish the baby." "That's good. I just asked about the hospital's cafeteria. I heard that the food there isn't bad. Don't eat the snacks I bought. They aren't very nutritious. Take them back to Xinyao. I'll take you to the cafeteria to eat something good." Han Hao gently touched my face. "It's only been a day since I last saw you, but you've become so haggard. I feel bad for you." I shook my head and looked at him. "It's okay. I'll be fine as long as I have time to rest. Let's go. Aren't you going to take me to eat something good? I'm a little hungry. Let's go now. Han Hao nodded and pulled me toward the cafeteria. When we arrived at the cafeteria, it was already past lunchtime. There weren't many people eating there. Han Hao asked me to find a place to wait for him. I randomly found a quiet place. He went to the window and started to order. It seemed like he had bought a lot. Actually, I wanted to tell him not to buy too much. After all, I couldn't finish it all. After a short while, Han Hao came back with a bunch of dishes. When he put them down, I saw that although he had ordered a lot of dishes, the amount of each dish wasn't big. However, they were all very nutritious. I guess that he wanted me to have a balanced diet. Chapter 181. Han Hao sat across from me and looked at me with a smile. All right, the food is here. Even though this place doesn't look like much, the food looks pretty good. Try it and see if you like it. If you really don't like it, then wait for a while. I'll go home and cook for you. I picked up some food and ate it. I picked up a mouthful of food and put it in my mouth. It tasted pretty good, pretty good. I nodded and looked at Han Hao, saying, "It tastes pretty good, pretty good. Hurry up and eat. I've been tormenting you for a long time." Han Hao nodded with a smile and began to eat. From the looks of it, he was really hungry. In fact, he and Duanmu K were very good to me. When they found out that something had happened to me, they immediately put down what they were doing and ran over to accompany me. They didn't say anything when they found out that something had happened to me. Han Hao looked at me and stared at me. He was a little confused. "Shaoli? Shaoli, why are you so straight?" Hearing him call me, I came back to my senses. Nothing. I looked at him and said, "Nothing." I lowered my head and began to eat. Han Hao looked at me and sighed. "Shaoli, are you still worried about Red Baron? Don't worry, she'll be fine. She'll be fine soon. You don't have to worry. Besides, Xiao Ke said that he would find the mastermind. So you don't have to worry. You're very weak right now, and the doctor has advised you to take good care of your body. At this time, you can't be too tired, understand?" Han Hao reached out and put a piece of rib in my bowl. I looked at him and said, "Yeah, I know. But I'm worried that Xiao Ke won't be able to handle this. After all, the mastermind behind this is after him. What if this is a trap and he gets himself into it?" Han Hao put down his chopsticks and looked at me. "Shaoli, you have to believe in the Kurosawa's strength. This kind of small matter is nothing in Duanmu K's eyes. I estimate that he'll take care of them in 2 or 3 days. Don't worry about it. Shaoli, can you tell me, do you still love Xiao Ke?" Hearing Han Hao's question, I suddenly froze. I didn't dare to look up and continued to eat with my head down. Han Hao saw that I didn't answer, so he reached out and held my hand. He cupped my face and looked at me. "Tell me the truth, okay? There's no need for hypocrisy between us." I put down my chopsticks and looked at Han Hao. Actually, I'm very conflicted about my feelings towards him. I love him very much, but I'm also very afraid of him because he's not the Duanmu Ke who loved me. He's forgotten about me because he lost his memory. The me he knows now is the one who just started to like me, not the one who went through life and death with me. This kind of conflicted feeling makes me love and hate him at the same time. I can't bear to see him suffer. I can't bear to see him indulge himself. And I don't want to see him treat me coldly. I don't want to see him look at me with cold eyes. I want to give up, but I can't. I want to tell him that I love him, but I can't. Sometimes, when I calm down, I think about whether it's right or wrong for me to keep this child. If Xiao Ke remarries and has another child, and he finds out that I have his child at that time, would that child be an illegitimate child? How would he live in the Duanmu family in the future? Han Hao looked at me calmly. He was probably stunned by my series of answers. After a while, he looked at me and said, "Shaoli, what about me? Will you still be with me?" I didn't know why, but when I heard Han Hao's question, there seemed to be a trace of sadness in his voice. He probably didn't want me to go back to the Duanmu Ke, and he probably didn't want me to be so conflicted about whether or not I should choose the Douanemou, Quebec. I didn't know what to do. If there was a man in the world that I didn't want to hurt the most, it would definitely be Han Hao. From the beginning, he had been good to me from the bottom of his heart. He was also the one who understood what I needed the most at any time. He was such a handsome man with a good figure, a good family background, and a gentle personality. I looked at Han Hao and said, "Xiao Hao, I understand that you are good to me, and I did promise you that I would accept your feelings for me. However, I am now a single mother. I can ignore myself, but I have to take care of my child. So, until the baby is born, I won't think about my own matters, because I still have things to take care of during this period of time. I hope you can understand. You should know that the baby is the most important thing to me. You won't deprive me of the most important person to me, right? If you really want to be with me, and you want to be with me for the rest of your life, if you are willing to wait until the baby grows up, and at that time, if I have no other thoughts in my heart, I will choose to be with you. Is that okay, Xiao Hao? I hope you can understand me." Han Hao looked at me and nodded. He reached out to touch my face and said softly, "Silly for you, I am willing to wait as long as it takes. 10 years, 8 years, it doesn't matter. As long as I have your word, it is enough. If you choose Xiao K at that time, I won't be angry with you, because the days with you are the most important. I don't want to think about anything else." I smiled at Han Hao and said, "Thank you for understanding me. I understand that you are good to me, and I will cherish it. You have done so many things for me, and I will remember it in my heart. I am not an ungrateful person." Han Hao touched my face and said softly, "Silly, hurry up and eat. The food is getting cold." I nodded, and the two of us continued to eat. This meal was timely. Maybe I was really tired from a whole morning, but I felt much better after eating this meal. Han Hao ran to buy me a cup of warm milk. I didn't know who he had heard it from, but warm milk was good for pregnant women and the fetus. He was really like a super stay-at-home dad now, and he knew how to take care of people. He even said that he would take me to buy daily necessities and milk powder for pregnant women one day. I suddenly felt that Han Hao's back was shining brightly. But in my heart, I thought, if Douanemou Kane knew that I was pregnant, would he take care of me as well as Han Hao? Or would it be like what I had thought in the past, that he would not acknowledge this child? Han Hao and I were sitting in the cafeteria after eating and chatting when my phone suddenly rang. I took it out and saw that it was Red Minghui's internal number. I quickly picked it up. "Hello. Miss, please come over quickly. The Red Baron is awake." Chapter 182. What? The Red Baron has woken up? I jumped out of my chair when I heard the news. Han Hao, who was sitting opposite me, was shocked. "Okay, I got it. Hurry up and call the doctor to give the Red Baron a thorough checkup. I'll be there in a minute." I hung up the phone and looked at Han Hao. "I'm not eating. I just received a call that the Red Baron has woken up. I have to go." I couldn't wait for his reply. I turned and ran towards the Red Baron's ward. This was the best thing I'd heard all day. I couldn't care less about my pregnancy. I'd completely forgotten about it. After a while, I finally arrived at the ICU. I saw the Red Baron's ward. The Red Minghui's people were standing at the door. I walked over. When they saw me, they greeted me politely and said, "Miss, you're here. We've already arranged for the doctor to give the Red Baron another checkup." Okay, I got it. I was about to push the door open, but they stopped me. I looked at them in confusion. The person who stopped me said, "Miss, I'm sorry. The doctor just said that they're not sure if the Red Baron is out of danger. That's why they don't allow family members to visit the ward. They said that if you come, you should wait outside for the doctor's checkup. They'll talk to you in detail when they come out." I looked inside the ward. The doctor was examining the Red Baron. I knew I couldn't barge in. I thought for a while and nodded. "Okay, I got it. Thank you for being so responsible for the Red Baron. It's what we should do." They bowed to me. Although I used to hate my identity as the miss of the Red Minghui's Long family, it seemed that this identity was still very advantageous in front of people. This identity provided the Red Baron with the best medical team and the best medical services. Even the subordinates of the Red Minghui treated the Red Baron with respect. That was indeed the case. After all, she was a confidant of the Red Minghui's chairman, the personal bodyguard of the Miss of the Red Minghui, and the best fighter of the Red Minghui. Just these few identities were enough for her to stand firm among the members of the Red Minghui. Just as I was lost in my thoughts, the door of the ward opened. The doctor and the nurse walked out of the ward. He walked up to me and said, "Hello, Miss Long. I've already done a systematic examination of the patient. The Red Baron is no longer in critical condition. Her physical indicators are very good. She can be transferred to a normal ward now. However, the patient is still very weak. She needs to stay in the hospital for another week for observation before she can leave." I nodded and looked at the doctor. "Thank you. I'll go through the procedures for her transfer later. Doctor, is there anything else I need to pay attention to? How about this? I'll organize a medical order and have my assistant send it to you. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me at any time," the doctor said to me with a smile. I understood what he meant. I smiled and said to him, "Okay, how about this? I'll have my subordinate come over to get it from you later. I also have something to give you." The doctor immediately understood what I meant. He nodded with a smile and left. At this time, Han Hao ran to my side. He glared at me and whispered in my ear, "Why are you running so fast? Don't you know you're pregnant? It's a good thing that you're awake. Why are you in such a hurry?" I was awakened by Han Hao's sudden scolding. Only then did I realize that I shouldn't be running because I was pregnant. It seems I was too excited. I suddenly remembered that I had to transfer the Red Baron. I turned around and took out a bank card from my bag. I handed it to a Red Minghui and said to him, "I'll have to trouble you to go through the procedures for the Red Baron's transfer. Remember, you must arrange a single ward facing south for the Red Baron. Money isn't important. The most important thing is that the Red Baron must have a good environment to rest in." "Understood, Mississippi. I'll do it right away." The man took the card from my hand and left. Han Hao turned to look at me and asked, "Why don't you just leave this to me? What if he doesn't pick a good ward for you? I know you very well. Why don't you call him back? I'll go and do it." I reached out and pulled Han Hao over. I looked at him and shook my head. "Don't go. I'll arrange for you to do something else. This doctor is in charge of the Red Baron's treatment. I have a red envelope here, but it's not convenient for me to meet him. You can send it to him for me. Just say that I thank him for doing his best to save the Red Baron and that I'm very grateful to him." Han Hao looked at me and was stunned for a moment. Then he pushed my hand away. He stroked my hair and said softly, "Silly, you should have said so earlier. I have cash here. I'll go and deliver it. You can keep your money for yourself. The Red Baron seems to have woken up. Go and accompany her. I'll come back and talk to you later." Then Han Hao waved at me and left. Looking at his back, I felt gratified. He was the man who understood me the most. He was probably the only one. Speaking of which, it was strange. I had spent more time with Duan Muke than him, but even Duan Muke didn't understand me as well as he did. Han Hao really understood me. He even knew what I was thinking and what I might do next. He already knew that I loved Duan Muke, but he didn't force me or complain to me. He also didn't leave me because of this matter when I needed help the most. Instead, he always did a lot of things for me. I really didn't treat him well. I looked at the Red Baron in the ward. Her eyes were gradually opening. It seemed that she had regained consciousness. At that moment, a nurse came over. I called out to her and asked if I could visit her in the ward. Then I opened the door and walked in. I closed the door and turned to look at Red Ju. She turned her head to look at me and squeezed out a smile with great effort. At that time, my heart broke, and my tears couldn't stop flowing. In order not to let her see me cry, I tried my best not to be obvious. I walked to the side of the hospital bed and reached out to hold Red Jew's hand. Her hand was cold, and her hand was connected to the 4 bottle. Looking at it, I felt very distressed. Red Jew saw my tears, but she still forced a smile and said to me in a very weak voice, "Don't cry." Hearing the Red Baron's words, I cried even harder. I held her hand and cried, "Red Baron, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." Chapter 183. The Red Baron shook her head and looked at me. "Don't be like this, Mississippi. I'm awake now. Don't be sad." I wiped the tears off my face and looked at the Red Baron. I nodded gently. "Rest well. You've just woken up, so don't talk too much. Han Hao has already helped you with the transfer procedures. Don't worry, he's arranged the best for you." The Red Baron's eyes were a little wet. She looked at me and said softly, "I've troubled you. You've done so much for me. Thank you very much." I reached out and touched the Red Baron's face. "It's what I should do. Don't worry. Rest well. I won't accompany you for now. I don't want to disturb your rest. I'm going to see how Han Hao's transfer procedures are going." I stood up and turned around to leave. Suddenly, the Red Baron called me. "Mississippi." I stopped and turned around to look at her. "What's wrong, Red Baron? Is there anything else?" The Red Baron looked at me and said softly, "Miss, you must be careful. There might be other people who could be a threat to you. Don't act on your own." I nodded and looked at her. "Okay, I understand. Thank you." Then, I turned around and left the room. When I walked out of the room, I called the Red Minghui's people who were standing nearby and told them to keep a close watch. If there were any strangers near the room, they were to inform me immediately. I stood at the door of a room and thought of Han Hao. Just as I was about to go find him, he appeared in front of me. He looked at me and said, "Shaoli, the Red Baron's room has been arranged. I've asked the nurses to tidy up the room. Do you want to go take a look now?" I thought for a moment and nodded. "Okay, take me there." Han Hao smiled at me and pulled me forward. At this time, my phone suddenly rang. I stopped and took out my phone. It was Suri. It seemed something had happened on his side. I answered the call. "Suri, what happened?" "Miss, it's not a big deal. I've already arranged what Duanmu K asked me to do. Also, Xinyao has recovered, but she's crying and screaming to see you. She said she's sorry for implicating you and wants to apologize to you in person. I told her you were busy, but she insisted that I call you. I couldn't persuade her. What should I do?" Tell Xinyao that I'm fine and tell her to be good. I still have some things to do, and I don't know when I'll be done. Tell her not to wait for me, and let her rest." Before I finished, Xinyao's voice sounded from the other side of the phone. "Sister-in-law. Come back quickly, sister-in-law. I have a lot of things to tell you. Come back quickly, okay?" Suri seemed to have snatched the phone away from him. He whispered to me, "Miss, you see? I really don't know what to do." Xinyao's cries sounded from the other side of the phone. It was true that I should be by her side when she really needed me, but I was worried about the Red Baron's health. I sighed and said softly, "Okay, I got it. I'll make the arrangements and contact you later." I hung up the phone and looked at Han Hao, shaking my head helplessly. Before I could say anything, Han Hao walked to my side. He reached out and touched my face. "Xinyao misses you. She suffered a lot today. You should go back and accompany her." I turned to look in the direction of the Red Baron's ward and said softly, "But I'm worried about the Red Baron. I'm afraid that something will happen to her again." Han Hao looked at me and pulled me into his arms. He whispered in my ear, "It's okay. Go home and see Xinyao. I'll be here. I'll stay here and watch over her. I've already told my family that I won't be home for a few days because of something. I'll stay here and accompany the Red Baron for you. Don't worry, just go home." Then, Han Hao kissed my forehead gently. I looked at Han Hao with embarrassment and said, "Thank you for your hard work. I'll come back after I've settled Xinyao down. I'll be quick. Don't worry. Han Hao smiled at me and hugged me. I left the hospital. On the way home, I felt exhausted. Maybe it was because I was too tired. I didn't know how I got home. As soon as I entered the living room, I saw Xinyao running towards me. She saw me and threw herself on me. She hugged me tightly and cried, "Sister-in-law, you're finally back." I gently hugged Xinyao, stroked her hair, and softly said, "Little fool, why are you crying? Are you feeling better? Suri said you wanted to see me, so I came back immediately." Xinyao didn't let go of me. She hugged me tightly and said softly, "Sister-in-law, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm better now. It's all thanks to Suri." "Oh right, how's the Red Baron? Has she woken up?" I suddenly felt suffocated. I patted Xinyao's back and said softly, "Little Xinyao, come down first. I can't breathe." Xinyao let go of my hand that was hugging me tightly. She pulled me to sit on the sofa. I looked at her and said, "Red Baron has woken up and is out of danger, but she is still very weak." I didn't dare to disturb her. I wanted to go to her new ward to take a look, but then I received a call from Su Rue. He said that you missed me so much, so I rushed back immediately. "It's good to see that you are fine." Xinyao and I were chatting when Suri came out of the kitchen with a plate of fruit. When he saw me, he said, "Miss, you're finally back. I can finally rest." Xinyao was too annoying. I was scared. Xinyao curled her lips and looked at Suri. "You're bad." I was scared. "That's why I stuck to you." Suri looked at Xinyao in disbelief. "At first, you were scared. But later, you made me feel like my body had been hollowed out." Before Suri could finish, Xinyao interrupted him and said loudly, "Bad man. Don't say it." After that, Xinyao hugged my arm tightly and leaned on my shoulder. I immediately understood what had happened between the two of them. Something indescribable must have happened between the two of them after Xinyao recovered. I thought for a moment and quickly changed the topic. "Oh, by the way, Suri, did Duamuke call you after that?" Suri nodded and said he called. He asked if Xinyao remembered who wanted to frame her. I also checked with Xinyao. When she was working in the U.S., there really was such a person. She was Xinyao's colleague. The two of them had a conflict. Chapter 184. What's going on? I looked at Xinyao and asked, "Xinyao, what's going on? Tell me all about it." Xinyao sat up. She looked at me and said, I didn't take that woman seriously at first, but I didn't expect her heart to be so evil. I didn't think too much about it. I thought that after the two of us quarreled at the meeting, it would be fine. Maybe it was because I really hurt her heart? That can't be. She doesn't look that weak. Who is this person? I asked Xinyao anxiously. She is Li Li. Her name is Li Hui, a designer of the international brand company that chose me. She is the kind of designer who has signed an agreement with the company, and I was hired with a high salary. Because I am still a little famous in the foreign fashion industry. When I first entered their company to open a design studio, everyone looked at me with envy and a sense of superiority, but only she looked at me with that kind of jealousy and hatred. I felt uncomfortable at that time, but because I had just arrived at a new company and I was also aiming to design, I didn't think too much about it. Their company knew my fame and connections, so they released new clothes for 3 consecutive seasons. The clothes I designed were all the main products, and the sales were all very good. Li Hui's clothes were also very good, but the sales were average, and the salary I signed with their company was also transparent. Think about it this way, my salary is higher than hers, and the products are also the most popular on the market, so the commission is higher than hers. As an internal designer of the company, she actually couldn't overshadow my limelight, so she might have become hostile towards me because of this. Then you said that you two quarreled at the meeting. What was that about? I asked, not understanding. Well, it was during the 4th season's new design department. The company asked me to still be the main designer, and she wasn't happy. At the meeting, she said that she wouldn't release new clothes this time because she didn't want to be stepped on by me. She also said that my work was plagiarized. If she had said anything else, I wouldn't have refuted her. But she said that my work was plagiarized because I worked from dawn to dusk to create them. After she said that, I became agitated and directly refuted her at the meeting. In the end, the company's management was very angry. They canceled Lily's new clothes and her quarterly bonus. She was so angry that she took a long leave of absence. I couldn't think of anyone who could harm me. After listening to Xinyao, I nodded thoughtfully. Xinyao held my hand and said softly, "I'm sorry, sister-in-law. I've implicated you. I really didn't think that something like this would happen. I've also implicated you and the Red Baron. She's just out of danger, and I feel like a sinner. You've told Xiao Kei everything, right? Xiao Kei seems to want to get rid of these people from the root." We already know who the person who targeted Xiao Kei is. This matter should be solved soon. Suri looked at me. I've already told Duanmu, Quebec. He said that he knows how to solve this problem. He said that it will be solved soon. He asked me to take good care of Xinyao. After listening to Suri, I was suddenly worried about Duanmu, Quebec. He had shouldered everything by himself. Could he do it alone? What if something happened like the other day? I was really worried. I thought for a moment and decided to give Duanmu Kei a call. I dialed Duanmu Kei's number. It took a while for someone to pick up. Duanmu Kei's call was answered by a woman's voice. I was stunned. "Who are you? Why are you picking up Xiao Kei's call?" "Oh no. Young Master Kei is with me right now. I want to take him to the hospital, but he doesn't want to go. Do you know young Master Kei? If you know him, can you come to the basketball court?" "What? What hospital? What happened? Who are you? How is Xiao Kei? Put him on the phone." I suddenly panicked. Did something happen to Xiao Kei again? The answer came from the other side of the phone. "I'm from Kurosawa. Young Master Kei just took us to find those people who had a conflict in the bar. Originally, we wanted to leave them to us, but when we saw those people, young Master Kei directly rushed to the front and wrestled with those people. When we saw young Master Kei rush forward, we followed him. When we finally knocked them down, young Master Kei fell to the ground. We originally wanted to take him to the hospital, but he didn't agree and even shouted at us. We didn't dare to disobey his orders, so we could only arrange for our brothers to take those people to the police station first." "You're at the basketball court? Is it the basketball court of those people? I'll go there right now." "Oh right, I'm Cold Glaze. Thank you for taking care of Xiao, Quebec. I'll be there right away." Then I hung up the phone. Suri looked at me and said, "What's wrong?" "Big miss. Did something happen to young Master Duanmu?" I nodded and looked at him and said, "And it should be. Something might have happened. Xiao Kei seems to have taken care of those people. I have to go there. You stay with Xinyao. I'll go to the basketball court and take a look. If the situation isn't right, I'll call you. With my current identity, they can't do whatever they want." With that, I took my bag and left. On the way to the basketball court, I drove very fast. I was a bit hesitant. What if the person who picked up the phone was lying? What if he was just tricking me? Did something really happen to Xiao Kei? I shouldn't worry about it for now. I'll know when I get there. He took the risk for me. I can't harm him for my own benefit. Finally, I arrived at the basketball court. After I parked the car, I ran inside. There weren't many people in the basketball court. In the far corner of the basketball court, I saw a messy pile of sticks and sticks on the ground. It seemed like there was a fight here. A person was lying on a chair next to the basketball court, and another person was sitting next to him. I quickly walked over. Sure enough, the person lying on the chair was Duanmu Kei, and the person sitting next to him should be the person who picked up the phone. I couldn't care about anything else. I ran to Duanmu Kei's side and looked at him. His body was dirty. The dust and blood had stained his white shirt. There were injuries on his face too. There was a blood stain at the corner of his mouth. I reached out and touched his face gently. The moment I touched his face, Duanmu-ke immediately opened his eyes. He reached out and twisted my arm in the opposite direction. Ah! I screamed. It was only then that he realized it was me. Chapter 185. Shaoli? Why is it you? I didn't hurt you, did I? When Duanmu-ke saw me, he quickly sat up and let go of me. He gently massaged my wrist. It hurts, right? I didn't do it on purpose. I thought someone was going to attack me. I shook my head and looked at Duanmu-Quebec. I'm fine. What about you? How are you? Your subordinate called me and told me that you were injured and didn't want to go to the hospital. I hurried over. Duanmu-ke looked at me and smiled. He reached out and hugged me. Thank you. Thank you for being so worried about me. I haven't finished my business here. When I'm done, I'll go to the hospital for a checkup. You still have things you haven't finished? I leaned on Duanmu-ke's shoulder and asked softly. Yeah, I still have to go to the police station to deal with the aftermath. Duanmu-ke gently stroked my hair. At this moment, the man standing next to Duanmu-ke walked over. He looked at us and said, Young Master K, leave the rest to me. You should go to the hospital to deal with your wound. Duanmu-ke let go of me. He turned to look at the man and said softly, That's good too. You go and take care of it. If there's anything you can't handle, give me a call and I'll rush over. I'm really tired and want to rest. All right, young Master Quebec. I'll take my leave. Then, the man left. Duanmu-ke turned to look at me and smiled. Before I could react, he reached out and hugged me tightly. I was a little stunned. I leaned on his shoulder and asked, What's wrong? Is it okay to leave the matter to him? It's okay. I trust this child. Just let him deal with it. I'm really tired. I want to rest. Can you stay with me for a while? Duanmu-ke hugged me tightly. It was as though he was searching for the warmth that he had lost. He was afraid of losing it. I thought about it for a moment. Han Hao was taking care of the Red Baron, and Suri was taking care of Xinyao. This made me happy. I nodded and said, Okay, I'll accompany you. How about we go to the hospital first? Your wound is pretty deep. If we don't treat it quickly, it might get infected. Xiao-ke, I'll take you to the hospital. Duanmu-ke shook his head and said softly, I don't want to go to the hospital. I really don't want to go. Let's go back to the villa in the suburbs. How about you stay with me until tomorrow? I looked at Duanmu-ke and said softly, I'll give Han Hao and Suri a call and see how things are going. They're taking care of 2 girls for me. I feel a little guilty. Duanmu-ke thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. I took out my phone and called Han Hao first. Xiao Hao, it's Shaoli. How's the Red Baron? Did the transfer go well? It went well. Don't worry. I've arranged for a caretaker. She'll take care of the Red Baron 24/7. The Red Baron is resting in the hospital room. Her condition is pretty good. She's sleeping right now. I won't let you two talk on the phone. Okay. Thank you. I have some things that I can't get through today. Xiao-ke's matter has been settled, but he's injured. He doesn't have anyone by his side. I have to stay by his side. Is that okay? It's been hard on you. You have to take care of the Red Baron. My words were a little weak. I felt a little apologetic about leaving the Red Baron in Han Hao's care. Han Hao thought for a moment and then said, Okay, that's not a problem. Is Xiao-ke okay? It's fine as long as he's okay. I'll take care of the Red Baron. You're fine. Call me if anything happens. Okay, I got it. Thank you, Xiao Hao. If anything happens to the Red Baron, you have to let me know. Then I hung up. Duanmu-ke watched me make the call. His expression was very calm. It didn't seem like he was unhappy. I looked at him and smiled. I have to call Suri. I picked up my phone and was about to call Suri, but Duanmu-ke stopped me. He looked at me and said softly, I've already called Suri. He and Xinyao are doing well. I've already applied for leave for you. You just have to focus on staying with me. Duanmu-ke reached out and touched my face. He smiled and looked at me. Then, he gently kissed me on the lips. I was stunned by the sudden kiss. Duanmuke looked at me with a smile and said softly, "Silly, you look really good when you're stunned. Let's go. I'm tired. Come home with me." I smiled and reached out to hug Duanmuke tightly. I said softly, "Xiaokei, it's been hard on you. You've done so much for me. I'm really sorry that you got hurt." I quietly leaned into Duanmuke's embrace. I hadn't felt this warmth in a long time. I didn't expect to have this embrace again after the divorce. Moreover, I took the initiative to hug Duanmu Quebec. I didn't know why I took the initiative. Maybe it was because I missed the time I spent with Duanmu, Quebec. Therefore, I especially cherished this hug because it was warm and came from the bottom of my heart. Duanmuke and I went on the road to the villa in the suburbs. On the way back, I bought some groceries. I wanted to go back and cook something delicious for Duanmu, Quebec. After thinking about it, I remembered that I hadn't cooked for him for a long time. When I was in poor health, he took care of me. He was such a clean man, and he was willing to cook for me. I should take good care of him this time. I decided to prepare a sumptuous dinner for him. When we arrived at the villa, I hurriedly treated Duanmuke's wounds. Duanmuke lay on the bed. I brought the first aid kit to his side and helped him take off his shirt. Duanmuke's body was still in good shape, but there were many big and small wounds on his body. My heart ached when I saw them. I used an alcohol cotton ball to gently wipe his wounds. Duanmuke lay on the bed with his eyes closed. He frowned and looked like he was in pain. I stopped what I was doing and looked at him. I asked softly, "Does it hurt a lot?" Duanmuke shook his head and looked at me. "I'm fine, Shaoli." Don't be afraid. The alcohol cotton ball stimulated the wounds. It doesn't hurt too much. Just bear with it and you'll be fine. I nodded and looked at Duanmu Quebec. Bear with it. I'll be gentle. I continued to treat Duanmuke's wounds. There were more than a dozen wounds, big and small. When I finally finished treating him, there were a lot of bandages on his body. Looking at his funny appearance, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Duanmuke looked at me and chuckled. He extended his hand and pulled my arm. I fell into his embrace, and Duanmuke hugged me tightly. Chapter 186. I lay in Duanmuke's arms for a long time. I could clearly hear his heartbeat. After a while, I softly said to Duanmuke, "Xiaokei, you haven't eaten yet, right? Let go of me first. I'll go make you something to eat." Then I struggled to get out of his arms. Unexpectedly, Duanmuke hugged me even tighter. He gently stroked my back and softly said to me, "Don't worry. Lie down with me for a while." I was stunned. Before I could react, Duanmuke used all his strength to carry me onto the bed. Then he flipped over and pressed me under his body. "Xiaokei. Xiaokei, wait a moment. Xiaokei." Just as I came back to my senses, Duanmuke had already taken off all the clothes on my body in a few moves. I lay down completely naked under Duanmuke's body, just like that. I was already used to it. I helplessly looked at Duanmuke and asked, "Xiaokei, how much do you love taking off my clothes? It's a bit cold. Can I put them back on?" Duanmuke looked at me and sneered. He pressed on top of me and conveniently pulled the blanket over me. Duanmuke looked at me and softly stroked my face. He smiled and said, "Shaoli, I missed you so much." He softly kissed my forehead and then lay down beside me, holding me in his arms. I didn't know why, but maybe it was because I was too sleepy. I leaned against Duanmuke's chest. I suddenly thought that Duanmuke wouldn't want to have sex with me again, right? I raised my head and looked at Duanmu, Quebec. In a soft voice I said, "Xiaokei, you can't move around today. You have to be good and lie down. Otherwise, you'll be done for, okay?" Duanmuke stroked my hair and immediately guessed what I was thinking. He looked at me and said, "I know. I don't want to have sex with you. I just want to quietly hug you like this and sleep with you. Don't worry, I promise you." I nodded and quietly leaned against Duanmuke's chest. I closed my eyes and felt a little sleepy. I guess Duanmu K was also sleepy. The two of us gradually fell asleep. When I woke up again, it was already nighttime. Duanmu K was still hugging me. I gently raised my head. He hadn't woken up yet. I quietly sat up in his arms and looked at Duanmu, Quebec. He was sleeping like a child. Seeing his honest appearance, I reached out and gently touched his face. I was afraid to wake him up, but I was also afraid that he would be too hungry when he woke up. Therefore, I decided to get up first and prepare a meal for him. I slowly climbed out of the bed and quietly went downstairs to the kitchen. I began to prepare dinner for Duanmu, Quebec. I tried to keep my voice as low as possible, afraid that I would wake him up. I made 4 dishes, all of which were light and nutritious. When I was almost done, it was time to wake Duanmu K up. I quietly walked upstairs. When I entered the bedroom, I saw that Duanmu K was still sleeping. I walked to the bedside and sat next to him. I gently stroked his face and said, "Xiao K, it's time to get up and eat. You still need to take your medicine later." Duanmu K moved a little. He rubbed his eyes and rolled over to sleep again. I gently patted Duanmu K's shoulder twice and said helplessly, "Xiao K, hurry up and get up. The food is getting cold. Xiao K, hurry up and get up." Duanmu K rolled over and finally woke up. He rubbed his sleepy eyes and looked at me. "Xiaoli, what time is it? It's already nighttime. Hurry up and get up. I've already prepared dinner. Do you want to eat here or go downstairs?" Duanmu K sat up and looked at me. "Let's go downstairs and eat." Then he stood up from the bed. I was afraid that he would be cold, so I put on a loose t-shirt for him. Then I pulled him to the dining room. I brought the food to the table. Duanmu K sat down. When he saw the food, he said in surprise, "Oh my God, you made so much delicious food. I'm just hungry. This is great." Duanmu K picked up a mouthful of food and put it in his mouth. Then he nodded and said, "It's so delicious. I haven't eaten such delicious food in a long time." I sat across from him and smiled at him. "Eat slowly. Don't rush. I won't fight with you. You can have it all." Duanmu K looked at me as he ate. "Xiaoli, before I lost my memory, were we living such a happy life? I didn't know that you could cook so well. Is it too late for me to find out now?" I shook my head and looked at Duanmu, Quebec. "Don't bring up the past. Do you feel better? Does your wound still hurt?" "Much better. After sleeping, I feel much better. It's late. It seems that we slept for a long time. Xiaoli, are you asleep?" I nodded and said, "I slept soundly." I nodded. "I fell asleep, and I slept very soundly. When I woke up, you were still sleeping, so I didn't wake you up. First, I'll prepare the meal. As long as you're okay, it's fine. I'll check on you later, and I'll change the bandages frequently. I can't let the wound get infected." Duanmu K looked at me in shock. Then, he smiled pervertedly at me. "Does that mean you have to check my whole body?" I immediately understood Duanmu K's true meaning. I extended my hand and lightly knocked on Duanmu K's head. With a face full of disdain, I said, "Your head is full of nonsensical thoughts. You should heal your injuries first before we talk about it." Duanmu K put down his chopsticks and looked at me. "I was just joking with you. Isn't that normal? My body is fine. I'm fine." I thought for a moment and nodded. "That's good. Let's eat. Eat more." I stayed by Duanmu K's side and watched him eat. I was in a good mood. I felt as if I had returned to the time when I was with Duanmu, Quebec unconsciously. Whenever I saw him, my mood would improve. The baby in my belly should be able to feel my happy mood. After dinner, Duanmu K and I cleaned up the kitchen. I suggested that we go for a walk in the garden. Duanmu K agreed. He put his arm around my shoulder and accompanied me for a walk in the garden. The night air was nice. I leaned against Duanmu K's chest and felt very calm. Duanmu K hugged me. He gently stroked my hair and said, "You're acting a little strange today. Why are you suddenly taking the initiative to hug me? In the past, when I wanted to hug you, you would struggle. Today, I'm not used to it. I leaned tightly into Duanmu K's embrace, hugging him as I said softly, "Let me hug you quietly for a while. I don't know how much longer I can hug you. I admit that I can't forget my feelings for you, but I can't accept your love for me." Chapter 187. Duanmu K nodded. He held me in his arms and said softly, "You can hug me as long as you want. I want to hug you like this forever, you know? I missed you so much. After you kicked me out that day, I didn't sleep at all after I got home. I've been thinking about why you rejected me. Even if you said you didn't love me and wanted to choose Hao, I wouldn't mind. But why did you reject both of us? Don't you need someone to take care of you and take care of your heart?" I rubbed myself against Duanmu K's chest and said softly, "No need. I don't want to hurt either of you. Both of you are too strong-willed. If I hurt either of you, it would cause you to break down. Wouldn't I be a bad person then?" Duanmu K hugged me and said softly, "Silly, you think too much. All right, let's not talk about this. At least I'm glad that you didn't reject me. I still have a chance. If Xiao Hao knew that you were hugging me like this, he would be furious." I looked up at Duanmu K and said, "Xiao Hao knows that I'm with you. Of course, he also knows that I still love you. But when he finds out, he doesn't feel good. I can see that. But no matter what, he's been very good to me. He's protected me a lot and did a lot of things for me. I'm very grateful to him. But you don't want to thank him with love because you only have me in your heart." Duanmu K looked at me. He lifted my chin and kissed me deeply. I looked up at Duanmu K and said softly, "Let's go back. It's getting late. I want to call Xiao Hao and Suri and see how they are doing. I'm afraid that they're hiding something from me." Duanmu K nodded and looked at me. "All right, you call Suri. I have something to say to Han Hao. You're not going to tell Han Hao what I told you, are you?" I looked at Duanmu K with disdain. Duanmu K gently scratched my nose and smiled. "I'm not as stupid as you think. Don't think too much about things between men. Hurry up and call Suri." I nodded and walked to the side to call Suri. "Suri, how are you and Xinyao at home? Is her condition better?" Suri's voice. "Xinyao's condition is good. She's playing with Susu now. She's back to how she used to be. That's good. It's fine as long as you guys are fine. Are you and young Master Duanmu okay? Is young Master Duanmu okay with his injuries?" "We're fine. Don't worry." "Oh, that's right, I remember now. Just now, the brothers in our society received the latest notice. Li Hui, the person who hired the assassin to harm Xinyao, will be attending the new product launch in China. She will be flying to a city tomorrow. Xinyao has also just received the notice to attend the launch. I'm afraid that she will take the opportunity to frame Xinyao again. Although I can protect Xinyao, my ability is still limited. Moreover, without an invitation, no one can enter the conference. Our brothers in the society certainly can't enter the venue, so the protection will be greatly reduced." "Eldest Miss, what do you think about this matter? How about this?" I thought for a moment. "Tell Xinyao to go, as usual, tomorrow. Ask Xinyao to get you a ticket. You can go with her. Then arrange for our brothers to stand guard outside. Tomorrow, I'll go with Xiao Quebec. When the time comes, we'll stay by Xinyao's side. The four of us should be fine." "I think it's fine. Then it's settled. I'll send you the address of the launch later. If there's anything, just call me. I won't disturb the two of you." "All right, no need to thank me. Please call me Lei Feng. I'm hanging up." He hung up before I could scold him. I shook my head helplessly. I looked at Duanmu Quebec. He hadn't hung up yet. I thought for a moment and decided to go back to the living room to wait for him. While I was at it, I tidied up the room. The last time the two of us came here, the room was in a mess. I walked to the living room and started to tidy it up. When I was almost done, Duanmu K walked in from outside. When he saw me tidying up the room, he hurried over to help me. I looked at Duanmu K and said softly, "You finished your call with Han Hao? How's the Red Baron? Is there any problem?" Duanmuke looked at me and said, "Pretty good." Xiao Hao told me that the Red Baron's vitals are all normal. He's resting right now. The doctor said that he can be discharged in a week. He's accompanying the Red Baron now. I heard that he's also arranging accommodation. He took into account that the Red Baron is a girl, so he rented a bed in the ward next door. He told you not to worry. I nodded and said softly, "All right, I'm sorry to trouble him." I looked at Duanmuke and said softly, "What else did you say to him?" Duanmuke smiled and looked at me. "Nothing much. I just told him that we should go out for a meal one day. It's been a long time since us two brothers have eaten or gone shopping together." Black lines appeared on my face as I looked at Duanmu, Quebec. I said softly, "So you two men always go out for a meal when you have nothing to do. Heavens, you're just like girls." Duanmuke put his arm around my waist and said softly, "Silly, Xiao Hao and I have similar tastes. We often go out for a walk together, but it's not strange. We're often hit on by girls we meet, but we're often mistaken for good friends. It seems like us two men shouldn't go out for a walk together." I smiled and looked at him. "I'm not saying it's bad. I just think it's weird. Next time you two go out for a walk, take me with you, okay?" "I don't want to. We have a lot of things to talk about, and it's not convenient for us to have you in the middle. Let us two good friends be alone. Don't worry, I won't quarrel with him. After all, we've been brothers for so many years. By the way, how's Xinyao doing?" I thought about what Suri had told me. I thought that I should tell Duanmuke, so I told him what had happened. I looked at Duanmuke and said, "Do you think there's a problem with my arrangement? Or should we think of a way to bring our brothers into the venue? I'm afraid that we won't be able to protect Xinyao. That woman is too scheming. If she tries to harm Xinyao, I don't know what will happen." That you're tuning in to the Echo Reads YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.